This looks like it's taken off. The numbers have turned red. I'm pretty amazed that these batteries last as long as they do. We did how long was the recording with Brian? It was like an hour?
It was, no, it was...
Worth of footage, though. How much footage do we have?
Just of Brian, we had like 20 to 30 minutes.
Yeah. So, and this is just 4 AA's. So it ran for like 30 minutes, and the battery still says 100%.
Nice.
So I'm hoping I can get hours and hours and hours out of this. Okay, so we are recording. This is a attempt, an experiment, a thing that's probably never going to get heard, but we just want to try this. Well, I mean, I could put it out if it seems like it comes out fabulous or anything, but so we're going to talk about Rogue One because we're going to talk about, hopefully, eventually, The Mandalorian, and this seemed like a good primer, and it'll be interesting because I know I could probably talk about this movie for 100 hours, and I don't know if you guys really have anything to say about it, but I threw this out or Solo, and you guys went with this one, so I'm hoping that means you've got some input.
Realistically, I said Solo, and you were like, no, this is better.
But you said Rogue One, didn't you?
Yeah, I was down with either one.
Okay.
But
Well, maybe we'll do Solo, too, depending on how this goes.
yeah.
So, Rogue One, a Star Wars story. Actually, I took notes on like every scene, just so we didn't skip anything. I didn't know how in depth we want to get with it.
You know, I took a couple of notes, but not as many as you took.
Well, I mean,
I just sat and watched.
These aren't like personal opinion. This is just
Topics to...
This is just what's happening on the screen.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to be like, well, when did that guy die? What happened? Did that happen before that? Or, you know, so
Right.
I really just kind of went through and just made notes about.
Oh, yeah.
And a couple of things will come out of the notes that kind of bother me about the movie. But
Right.
anyway, I hope I can decipher these. I wrote these in the dark with not very good glasses on. There was one part, let me see, right here where I didn't realize I had written something there, and I went to write this, and I wrote over it because I couldn't see that I had already written something.
Yeah.
So anyway. Okay. So
Right.
I'm wondering if just right off the top we should give the movie a letter grade of our opinion of it and then do a deep dive.
Okay.
So as far as like not a scale of 1 to 10, not a 5 stars, whatever.
So like A to F.
But a letter grade, and you can do minuses and pluses and stuff. So an A to F, what would you give this film, Andrew?
I would say B plus.
B plus. Nate, what would you give the film?
I would actually give it just a plain old B.
A plain old B. B plus and a B. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Man, I'm trying to think. I mean, I didn't really think about this ahead of time, so I'm coming off the cuff here. A C minus?
Whoa.
C minus, D plus
Ooh.
territory.
Oh,
Wow.
I feel like I know why you're saying that.
Why?
I remember when this movie came out, you had this like whole grand theory that didn't really take place.
Well, look, I see this as a failed opportunity
So before
to do
we
something interesting. No, I'm just generalizing.
Okay.
It's just, I really felt they could have done so much more. This seems like an opportunity that people who care about money decided to go with, and then, you know, I'm not going to say that the people involved didn't give a shit, but I don't think they gave it their best effort.
Yeah.
And there wasn't there some weirdness with this where they finished it and then they had to redo the end or something, and a different guy came in and wrote a different end and maybe directed some extra footage.
They had to reshoot that whole beach sequence,
Right.
even though it never happened.
Because I think originally Disney wanted Jin and Cassian to live.
Mm-hmm.
But Gareth Edwards convinced them to kill everybody. So they had to redo it. And I think the only big difference was that because in trailers and stuff, you get the shot where she's running across the beach and she has the tape.
Right.
Okay, so I think the difference was that in the original, that tower was across the complex or something. So once they got it out of the vault, they had to run across the beach to the tower. But they just rewrote it to where it was like, okay, the tower's on top. She gets it. She just climbs up. Boom. So, I mean, other than that and the two of them not living, I think that's the only changes they made. So you get some weird footage from the trailer that isn't in the movie.
You know, now that I think about it, I think it is kind of cool that they killed him off, because it makes sense that Disney would want them to live, because then they can just make 5 more movies about them. And, you know, but
a big old cash grab.
Yeah,
there.
pretty much. But, you know, I think, you know, it's a nice little side story, like a, you know, definite resolution at the end.
Right.
Like,
I have no problem with everybody dying.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I kind of assumed that, because I was like, well, none of these people are in episode 4.
Right.
Clearly, they all must die.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe you could have left a little ambiguity with Forrest Whitaker's character. I mean, we definitely see him die. He's dead.
Oh, yeah.
But he's like one of them that you maybe could have left in the background, and then they could have used him in Rebels or something.
They did use him in...
I know, but he could have stuck around.
Yeah.
He could have been a, you know... He could show back up later. Like everybody keeps saying, oh, Mace Windu's going to show up someday.
God.
You know, so...
Maybe not.
But, I mean, if they had left some ambiguity with old Forrest Whitaker there, maybe he could have shown up again. But anyway. So, you guys gave it in the B's, and I'm teetering between a C and a D.
Wow.
So, interestingly enough, this is... Okay, a lot of the stuff that's written about this, I tried to go back and read some things, especially like some of the trivia on IMDb. It was all written at the time, right after it came out. So this was like the only non-canon or non-Skywalker saga film at the time.
Mm-hmm.
It was, you know, the only one without John Williams. It was the only one that broke convention and didn't have an opening crawl.
I like that.
Does Solo have an opening crawl?
Solo doesn't have an opening crawl, but
Okay.
it has like a couple of statements, like, you know, the galaxy is in
Oh,
turmoil.
right.
You know, the
Okay.
planet of Kessel, or not Kessel, Corellia.
Right.
Yeah, it's just given like little factoids.
So, like, if you look up, like, pertinent kind of trivia about this movie, it'll say stuff like, this was the first one to never have the crawl. This is the first one with no wipe transitions. This is the first one. But, you know, now there's Solos out, it probably falls into some of these things, too. I don't remember if Ron Howard threw in wipe transitions and shit to make it feel like Star Wars.
I don't think he threw in any wipes, but I want to say he followed the... No, he didn't. I was going to say he followed the same convention that there was no dialogue at the end of the film, because each movie ends with the silence and then the yeah, like there's no lines spoken.
But there is dialogue in the last scene, because
exactly,
it's
because
the card game where he wins the Falcon.
That's not the last scene.
What's the last scene?
The last scene is Chewie and Han talking about, hey, I heard about this gangster on Tatooine.
Oh, okay,
and
yeah.
we're gonna make it
So there
big.
is talking. So, and there's talking at the end of this one. The
Oh yeah, the
Yeah.
Princess
the
Leia
digital
CG,
Leia
yeah.
says hope. The Leia made from ones and zeros. So yeah, I mean, so some of the trivia and talking points about this movie probably may not stand now that we've got Solo. So anyway, yeah, no opening crawl, just kind of a Lucasfilm, and then bam, the movie hits you and starts. So let's go. The opening scene, we get the farm, and Krennic shows up, and they have the little silly discussion. I have a lot of issues with this just because of where I think things should have gone, character-wise and stuff. But I think it was silly that he tries to pull off this whole, Lyra's dead, and that's it, and you see this flashback later where they're all having drinks in their living room and shit, and Jin is still born and all this shit. So he's like, Krennic shows up and he goes, Lyra's dead. He's like, oh, damn, that's a shame. But he never says, like, well, what about your kid?
Yeah.
Because he knew they had a kid. He was in the fucking room with her.
Right.
And so, like, the mom takes her away, and she's supposed to hide in the thing. I imagine the plan was for both of them to go hide, but then the mom comes back.
Oh yeah, that's great.
And
It's like back from the dead.
yeah, back from the dead, always causing trouble. I'm taking all of you.
Yeah.
And so then she pulls out the gun, and she's not gonna go. So he has the death trooper shoot her, right?
Yeah.
So, and this is one of my problems with Jin throughout the film is she's all about her dad. My dad. I'm Jin Erso. I'm Galen Erso's daughter. I'm Galen Erso's. He was my father. Blah 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 blah. But these motherfuckers kill her mother right in front of her, and she doesn't give two shits. She never brings it up. She's never like, the Empire killed my mother. She faces down Krennic at the end, and he's like, who are you? And she says, I'm Galen Erso's daughter. Yeah. She doesn't say, you killed my mother, you bastard.
I just think it's hilarious how when every time she says, I'm Galen Erso's daughter, she's within proximity of a rebel. And whenever she says that, none of the rebels go, oh shit, we should kill her or take her hostage and get Galen to come down here and we can take it.
Yeah, it's like it's common knowledge that he's not cool with the Empire.
Yeah.
He's like, I guess, he's always in the uniform and shit. He's like this high-ranking Empire guy. But it just seems common knowledge throughout the galaxy that he's doing it against his will. Well, it's just an assumption. But yeah, that always kind of bothered me. She just does not give two shits about her mom. It's all about dad.
Yeah, and I thought it was really weird how, when that flashback at the beginning, whatever. Okay. And then when it jumps to her, being in the Empire prison, whatever,
right.
She could give two shits about her father.
Yeah.
And I noticed that, like, it was an immediate turn when she's in Saul Guerrera's place and watching that hologram. It's like, oh, now all of a sudden I miss my dad. Yeah.
Well, she did say, I always thought he was dead, made it easier. So, I mean, maybe she did give a shit, but she was just thinking more about survival.
Yeah, but like she thought maybe dad was dead, but she wasn't sure. But she had come to terms with it. But they shot her mom in front of her.
Yeah.
Come on. Man. She never
Fuck
gives
you, Mom.
See, like, in some of the changes I have for character motivation and stuff, you got, okay, the Empire killed her mom, but the rebels killed her dad, okay? When the X-Wings attacked, that bomb kills, that was the rep. So it's like, and this lends, I'll get to this later, but I just, why does she want to help anybody? She's got to hate the Empire, and she's got to be pissed at the rebels, too. So anyway. Anyway, she gets away. Saw comes and picks her up. We don't know how long she was down there. I assume maybe it was the next day or later that night or something.
Can I throw something out there?
Yeah.
Because this is kind of like throughout the whole movie,
right.
So I don't know when. But who the hell is Krennic to have his own style of stormtrooper?
Yeah.
Like, why is he so special?
We talked about that too, because it's like these guys are the Death Troopers, right? So they got these cool black outfits, and their radios are all, it sounds like they're speaking a different language and shit. But really, how are they more badass than any of the other stormtroopers?
They just shoot people, man. It's just like,
but I mean,
they don't have any like special weapons.
Well, but they can hit people. I mean, stormtroopers shoot tons of rounds and barely hit anything. But these motherfuckers get pretty cockeyed at the end too, though.
Oh yeah.
I mean, up until then, whenever one of them shoots, it's like Princess Leia. It's one shot, one kill. But towards the end, they start getting all kind of loosey-goosey. I can't hit anything, too. So
they were only good at close range because we saw them at the beginning. Maybe Jin's mom was like maybe 5 feet away, and they just went, okay. And then the engineers were just 5 feet away again. And they're only good at close range. So if they're shooting someone like...
I don't know, but I just, when we saw a promo picture of them, it was like, ooh, who the? And they're calling them Death Troopers. Yeah. And we thought, whoa, they're gonna be just regular dudes. I guess Krennic. Well, Krennic's got his super flare costume on, so maybe he was like, no, my guys need to be in black because we're trying to do a fucking fashion style thing here.
Yeah.
I guess that's why. But he's like a high dude too. and he was in charge of the Death Star.
Yeah.
And, so I'm assuming he's like a big, huge guy, too.
I guess that makes sense because, halfway through the movie, he meets with Darth Vader, and it's like, well, how many ranking officers, get the clearance to go meet with Darth Vader?
Right,
so I guess, he's up there.
Well, I paid attention. So he had, on his, Purina logo on his chest, he had six blues across the top and 6 reds across the bottom. And then Tarkin had six blues on top, but then he had 3 reds and 3 oranges.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that means they're like a different branch or if they're the same rank or what. But, So anyway,
I kind of got the impression that Tarkin was just slightly above Krennic. That's why Krennic got so butthurt when Tarkin's
when he took it over.
Oh, well, I'm now in charge of this station.
You can't do anything to me. Well, I was thinking maybe the uniform difference was a different branch kind of thing, Right. Where it's like Tarkin is like, kind of like, the Marines kind of run around with the Navy and they're kind of part of the Navy, but they're a different branch. And so I don't know. I was thinking maybe that could be the thing, but.
Yeah, and what's kind of cool, just now thinking about Tarkin and ranks and all that, you've really, throughout all of the what's considered canon now, like the animated series and just all the movies themselves, you really get to follow Tarkin on his entire career.
Yeah, he's in some of the Clone Wars stuff, I think.
Yeah, and I think he's like a captain.
Yeah, he's lower.
Yeah, because him and Padme actually interact.
Well, I thought it was cool, though, there was an episode where him and Anakin...
Yes.
kind of agree on a battle plan or tactic or something against Obi-Wan and somebody else in the room, and it's kind of like, oh yeah, these two are kind of lining up back then, Kind of makes me wonder if Tarkin knows who Vader is.
Yeah. Well, I would think that he does, because I would think the Emperor would let him in on that.
So there's some weird lines that kind of have new meaning now, like in Episode 4. When Vader's talking about Obi-Wan being his old master, and Tarkin's like, the Jedi are extinct, you're all that's left of their religion. Is that just because people don't know the difference between Sith and Jedi, and they just think anybody with a lightsaber is a Jedi? Or does Tarkin really know that Anakin was a Jedi because
I think
he was Anakin Skywalker? Yeah. It's like, what does it really mean? Back in the 70s, we just were like, oh, yeah, he was a Jedi, too. We didn't know what a Sith was. We'd never heard that till the 80s, But anyway, what the hell are we doing? We haven't even got Jyn out of the hole in the ground.
Yeah.
So Saul gets her, and then, you see her, and she's in jail.
15 years later.
It would have been nice to know what she was in there for.
Yeah.
Did they say?
Yeah, they said when they brought her in.
They read off a list of things she'd been arrested for. The rebels did.
Yeah,
but that doesn't really say what she was doing.
What was she in there this time
for? How long
for?
she was there, or anything like that. Yeah. Okay, so that's just a quick little blurb. So then we get Cassian running around on that asteroid /city / Guardians of the Galaxy base looking thing, and he meets that dude with the lame arm, which. I mean, I guess that's kind of an interesting detail, but I kind of would have liked a throwaway line about what the hell happened to you. Oh man, what's wrong with this guy's arm?
Yeah.
He's crying about it. Pan the camera down. Is it? There, I did.
You did.
Tilt the camera down. Is he got a bloody stump? What are we dealing with here? But they never show anything.
Yeah, he just whines about it. He's like, I can't. My arm.
Yeah, I can't climb out of here with my arm.
And I didn't.
Don't worry about it.
I didn't really think about it until the scene comes up while we were watching it, and I was like, oh yeah, this is where Cassian straight up murders this guy, and I was like, wow, what a cold bastard. He just straight up murders this guy because he's like, well, I can't drag you around. But
I kind of like that because it kind of
character wise, it's cool, and it kind of gives him that reassuring hug. Oh, don't worry, it'll be okay.
Yeah.
But it's like, man, this guy.
Well, it's just kind of
cool. This guy's kind of dark.
It's just kind of cool to think about. There's a dark side to all these. We're the rebels. We're so good, and we just want all the good in the galaxy.
Well, I kind of like that because he throws it out later. He's like, I've been doing this since I was 6 years old, and you just don't know.
And he's like, we've all done things.
Yeah.
Now, was this a mercy killing, or was he just like, this just has to be done?
He's
no use to me anymore.
I think he realized that that guy wasn't going to get out of there, and if he got caught, he would squeal. So he was just like,
tying up
well,
loose ends.
got to eliminate him.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's pretty cool. But still, it's like, damn, man. We see this guy be all caring later, but he'll just straight up murder a liability, won't he?
Yeah, but how does he go from like being a cold-hearted bastard to just, hey, I'm not gonna shoot that guy. Oh wait, someone else got him. Damn it! I guess I should have took the shot.
Rebel captains have layers, man. They have layers. There's depth to them.
Like parfait.
Yeah. So yeah, that scene's really quick. But there he learns that the pilot defected and said that they're building a weapon. Blah 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 blah. So then we go to Jeddah, and Saw's guys pick up Riz Ahmed, who I guess his name is Bodhi. Yeah. But until they said his name, I put him in the notes as Riz because I didn't remember his name. And this is kind of a thing with me, and we talked about this last night.
Yeah.
Where you don't hear Bodhi's name until Cassie and them get him out of jail at Saw's place, okay? So you see this guy in like 3 or 4 scenes before he says, oh, my name's Bodhi. He's just like, pilot, I'm the pilot. This is the pilot. This is the pilot. The pilot. The pilot. He doesn't get a name until like halfway through the damn movie. Now, Donnie Yen's character, I still don't know what that guy's name is, but his friend says it.
Yes.
3 or 4 times in the movie, and every time it sounds different. Because the first time you thought he said what? His name's like Chinnet or something.
His name is Shirit Imwe.
Shirit. But what the first time he said it, you were like, did he just call him T-Rex or something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
And it's like, and so from then on, I tried to pay attention, and every time it sounds like he's saying something different. But we never hear that guy's name. The guy with the trash can on his back and the laser machine gun. We never hear his name.
Yeah, because I think
nobody ever says his name.
I think Donnie Yen says it, but he's very mumbly.
I don't know. I don't remember Donnie Yen ever saying his name.
I think he just refers to him as like his friend or
that guy.
Yeah, like he just uses pronouns to address him.
Hey, muscle guy.
Apparently his name is Baze.
Yeah, I mean everybody's got a name, but they never say it in the movie. It's like it's like we're all supposed to know that shit ahead of time. Oh, you've seen the promo stuff on cereal boxes and shit. You know this guy's name. Yeah. No, I'm just going in to see the movie. You got to tell me these things.
Yeah, I think that's one reason. We stated this way at the beginning.
I mean, am I wrong?
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
We stated this way at the beginning that they murdered everyone. So, I mean, I guess this is another reason why I didn't really get attached. I'm like, oh, no, not that guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as bad as The Hobbit. I mean, these characters have some qualities that make you like them. You want to root for these guys. You kind of like them together. There's a few moments where different characters can have chemistry together, but they really could have done a better job of trying to instill who these people are to us. I was going to say something now. I forgot what it was. Maybe it'll come back. It just seems like a weird dynamic that some of these guys, you never even hear their name. But Jin runs around the entire movie. I'm Jin Erso. Hey, I'm Jin Erso. I'm Galen's daughter. I'm Jin. Galen's daughter, Jin.
She should have just worn. She should have just wore one of those. Hi, my name is
Jin. Okay, so Saw's guys get Bodhi, and they're taking him to Saw. So we go back to the prison planet. Jin gets rescued. We get to see the cool robot for the first time, and he has some quippy stuff.
Easily
hey,
one of the best parts.
You're being rescued. So we're like, yeah. He does the whole Night King Arya thing when she jumps out. He grabs her by the throat and he's got her there.
Yeah,
and just slams her down. Yeah. Get wrecked, Jen.
She's like, congratulations, you're being rescued.
Yeah, I think he's the only character that anybody cared about.
So then they take her to the rebel base. Blah blah blah. We see all these people who kind of look like people from episode 4.
Pig nose.
No, that doesn't come yet. She's at she's at
that's
on
right.
Yavin meeting the rebel, Mon Mothma and all that shit. We get our first little Bail Organa comes out of the shadows, like people are like, who's this clown? But so I guess that's important. So then they say, oh, okay, you got to go get this message from Saul Guerrera because you're the only one he'll see, and otherwise we'd never even get to talk to him because he's crazy, and we're the good rebels, and he's the crazy rebel. We don't like his methods.
Yeah. Speaking of, they want to get a hold of Saul to get the message.
Right.
It seemed like they already knew what the message contained.
Well, it was like these rumors. Oh, everyone's saying that a pilot defected, and that he's saying that they're building a weapon, and it's like, well, who the hell's saying all this?
Because even when they're all on the ship after Jeddah blows up, Cassian asks Bodhi did you see the message? And he's like, no. But it's like, well, then how did you know they're building
Well, but I guess Galen told him that. Galen told him. Well, or wasn't he Galen's pilot?
I don't think they ever said that he was.
I don't know if they explicitly said that, but
pilot.
that's probably something I read where he was supposed to be his pilot or some shit.
But yeah, it's just so odd. It seems like throughout the whole beginning of the movies, or the whole beginning of the movie, the rebels already knew the main part of the message.
Yeah, some stuff.
They just needed to know where the plans were.
They got all those Bothan spies, right?
Oh yeah, a lot of
Many
them died
Bothans
for that
died.
information.
Bothans died to bring me this frappuccino. Okay, so yeah, so we get our magic trio. Okay, we get Jin, we get Cassian, and we get the cool robot K2SO. And they're going to head out to go meet with Saw. And they get on that cool ship with the retractable wings and stuff. Mm-hmm. And Jin gets a blaster, which comes up later because K2 is pissed that she gets a blaster and he doesn't. And Cassian lets her keep it. Let's see. Okay, so then we go back and we get to see Saw for the first time. And he's got the... Now, I thought this was cool.
You thought it was cool?
Wait. The only cool thing about it, he walks out there and he's got two different kinds of feet, and he's all hobbling and shit. But I liked the part where he starts talking to Bodhi, and then he pulls that tube out and he takes a breath off of it, and it sounds like Vader, and you visibly see some shit in Bodhi's face, like, oh my god, this is like that Vader dude, and he's kind of got that sort of recognition. I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But I think Forrest Whitaker's character is just so over the top. What the hell are they going for here, man?
Yeah,
I think he was way too paranoid instead of letting the pilot talk.
If the character's paranoid, that's fine. But it's he's just chewing scenery. He's what are you doing?
They never talk about what happened to him. So I mean, at least for me,
why is he so fucked up?
I was just who the hell is this guy, and why does he have some kind of weird tube thing?
I think he's in one episode of Clone Wars.
He's actually in
not Rebels, but Clone Wars.
Yeah, he's in one episode of Clone Wars, and then he's got a short arc through Rebels.
Yeah,
supposedly.
But it's so he was a guy in Clone Wars who was in one episode, and then I guess they said, oh well, let's insinuate that this guy kept going and joined the rebels and blah, 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 and did this and blah, blah, blah. So I guess they threw him in as a call. It could have been anybody.
Yeah.
Could have been any. They could have just made any character, but they wanted some kind of continuities to tie it together. So we get this guy. And now, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, we talked about them changing the end, but did they not reshoot all of his shit too? Because in the trailer, he had a different haircut. Now, you know how in the flashback at the beginning, when Krennic goes to the farm and stuff, and then Lyra calls Saw on the little monitor
his
thing.
Head is shaved.
His head is shaved, okay? I think originally all of his shit was filmed and he had that shaved hair.
Yeah.
But then, for whatever reason, they went back and reshot all of his stuff. And he has this crazy, desert fro with some gray in it.
Desert fro.
So I'm thinking maybe the first time he was just played it maybe a little straight, and they were like, oh, this is boring.
Yeah.
Why did we bother to put this guy in here if he's going to be so boring? So I think the tube and the two different kind of feet and the outfit and the crazy voice and him being so paranoid, I think maybe it was because first run Saw was just boring.
Yeah.
I mean, I may be wrong, but I think they can play it off, the discrepancy between the hairdos. They can play it off as, oh, yeah, well, in the flashback, he didn't have the afro. Mm-hmm. And then later on, he grew his hair out because there was no good barbers on Jeddah anymore. But I want to say in the early trailer where you get shots from the original cut, I want to say you see him doing some of those scenes, and he's bald. So that's why I think they reshot all of his shit. And that may be why he's so over the top, because they were like, this is boring.
And I want to say, I read this somewhere, I want to say that he was actually part of the heist.
Oh, really?
Supposedly, he was actually like part of the heist as like an info guy who stayed on the ship.
Okay, and then maybe that since they redid the end or something like that. Well, yeah, because Bodhi had to stay on the ship to hook stuff up so he could die there.
Yeah.
So maybe they wrote Saw out, and that's why he's got that silly ass death where they're like, "Come on, let's go," and he's like, "No, I'm tired of running."
Yeah.
Just get on the ship. No, I must stay and look out the window and take my death like a man.
Yeah, don't quote me, but that's probably just something I read in the past. Like
what?
That
he
Saw,
was included?
Yeah,
it might be because it seems really weird in the movie where it's like, we got to get out of here. No, I'm going to stay.
Why the fuck are you staying?
Why do you want to stay? You suicidal now? Oh, I must stay. I'm tired of running. He's like those old people that are in their bed with the crane shot in Titanic at the end where the water's coming in. They're just like, we're just gonna stay here.
Yeah.
I mean, damn. So anyway, that was weird. Sure. Let's see. Okay, so we got on this talk about Saw. Yeah, okay, so this is where we see him, blah, 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 the voice, he's overacting, of course, yeah. Then we get the Krennic and Tarkin scene, that first scene where they talk about the fact that some pilot defected, which is our first look at CGI Tarkin.
Thoughts on that?
Thoughts on CGI Tarkin, the floor is open, go.
I don't think it was that good.
Okay. I heard a lot of people after the fact saying, I don't think it was that good. But when we were in the theater and we first saw it, I was like, dude, that's awesome.
I completely agree with that. That was me, too.
Now, when you can watch it at your leisure in your house and rewind it and watch it 100 times, there are some parts that are shiny.
Yeah, there's some parts that are shiny. There's some parts where his mouth doesn't sync up correctly.
And I think sometimes the sync on the lips isn't that great.
Yeah.
But overall, pretty good.
I mean, for what it is,
right.
I mean, you are creating a person. Like, that's pretty cool. But still, just being nitpicky, it's like, well, he doesn't look like a real human,
Well, they're using a slightly younger version of Peter Cushing, that face casting from Top Secret. Yeah, from Top Secret. So they had to add, like, the deeper cheek.
Well, I mean, they can only simulate so many parameters. I mean, your face has muscles and tendons and tissue and fat and just skin and this and that, and to make all that stuff move accurately under different conditions is really hard.
Yeah.
I think it looked pretty good, but like you said, there are some points where his lips don't really seem to be making that sound.
Well, with you talking about like the tendons and stuff like that, corridor crew, I want to say it's Nico that always brings it up because they always do digital faces. He's like, he brings it up hundreds of times. Like the pores stretch in so many different ways on different people.
So many variables that I don't know that you have a computer that could render that,
So I don't know if this is the unpopular opinion, but I think Princess Leia's CG was better than Tarkin.
Oh, you could not be more wrong, my man.
We'll see. It's interesting because we're talking about how our opinions flopped.
Right.
When it first came out and I first saw it, I was like, oh, Tarkin was way better than Leia. But for some reason, for some reason, when I rewatched it, I was like, like the Leia one is a little more believable. Now, maybe it's just because she's just like on screen for like 5 seconds.
I don't know, man. Those 5 seconds when she turned around when I first saw it, I went, ah!
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
spooky.
I'm actually looking at an image of it now.
Like I said, unpopular opinion, but
Yeah.
maybe I just watched it and I was too tired. I don't know.
I don't know. It's just,
Yeah, I mean,
I have heard some people say, no, that Princess Leia was awesome. And I'm just like, what? And a lot of time it's the people complaining about Tarkin. So maybe it is screen time,
Yeah.
Presented with
I think
just
that definitely has an influence.
just a face that says one word.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like, oh, yeah, okay. But
Yeah.
when you really get time to watch him and,
Yeah.
like Tarkin, he walks around the room and the light hits him in different
Yeah.
ways and you get him from different angles. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so maybe that's what it is. But,
yeah, it looks a little shiny. Definitely when we get to Leia.
well,
and it looks like they tried to feather it a lot.
Well, probably. It's
So,
I want to say I saw a picture of the girl they used as a stand-in, and she didn't really look much like her at all. They should have got Billy Lord to do it, because at least her face shape is correct.
right, because this girl has a longer face, and they're having to they're basically having to retract her eyes.
Yeah, it just doesn't look
and
right,
they even
man.
look blown up. It looks like
proportions are weird.
She looks like a deer in the headlights.
Yeah.
In that shot. I mean,
Yeah.
it's all right for like a quick 5 seconds, but it's not as good as Grand Moff Tarkin was.
Yeah.
And Grand Moff Tarkin's isn't perfect, but it's definitely better than Leia.
Right.
I'm looking at the cast list and I'm just like thinking of all these things I can't wait to talk about.
Oh, well, man, go ahead. We don't
man.
have to follow this
okay.
structure or anything. I just using this as a guide,
Yeah.
so we don't leave anything out.
So, talking about them just throwing known characters in there to be like, oh, hey,
Yeah.
look, they're here too.
Right.
Like,
Oh, no, pig nose?
yes and no.
Okay.
Like, he is one. I kind of understood the Bail Organa one. Like,
Right.
well, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, the Rebel Council is meeting. I guess he should be there too. But C-3PO and R2-D2, I was
Yeah.
just like, why?
Yeah,
Like,
I thought the same thing because they were supposed to be on the ship with Leia.
Yeah.
So where the hell are they during that?
Okay, so if they're there, right, and at the end you see Leia on the Tantive 4, and the droids are technically with her,
Mm-hmm.
so, and then that starts A New Hope. So if the droids are there at the base, that means the ship must be there, and Leia must be there,
Yeah.
right?
Right. Also,
Right.
right after their first meeting with Jyn Erso, the council, when
Right.
they're all talking aside, Mon Mothma talks about Bail's Jedi friend, and he's like, yeah, I'll reach out to him, and she's like, you have to get somebody trustworthy, and he said, oh, I trust her with my life.
Did
so
they do that then?
He said
or is that
her.
later.
I thought that.
No, I think that's later because I got here. Jimmy goes for Obi.
Okay, nice.
That's later on.
Okay, but still,
But he does mention Leia then.
He does mention her,
Right.
and implies that her mission is to go find Obi-Wan.
So does that mean she takes the droids and gets on the ship and takes off? What does Bail do? He's not on that ship with her. She
Right.
gets on
Well,
the
I
Tantive 4
think
with the
he's-
droids.
He says he has. Doesn't he mention he has to go back to Alderaan for
Yeah.
some reason?
Okay. But what ship
It's a
is he on?
throwaway line.
But
I
what
don't
ship
know.
is he on?
Well, and the point I was trying to get to is, her mission is to go find Obi-Wan. Like, he kind of makes it clear then. But
Right.
where does she get rerouted? And they're like, oh, hey, go pick up the Death Star plans first, then go get Obi-Wan.
Probably once the attack starts and
Yeah.
the rebels get word, they all fly out there, and that's probably why she's there. But her ship is in that flagship because they
Right.
detach. So why would her ship be in the? So maybe Bail's on the flagship. And we all assumed that Bail Organa died when Alderaan exploded, but he might have been on that ship and he might have got killed. We don't know, or captured or something. I don't know.
Either way,
That's a
he's
good point.
gone.
Yeah, either way, he ends up dead probably.
Mm-hmm. He's hanging out with Mace Windu somewhere.
Somewhere in a bar. 500 levels down under Coruscant. Man, we're lucky to get out.
Yeah.
I'd watch that.
Yeah. So Jyn has her little flashback, and then she wakes up. They get to Jeddah. The robot has some cool quips, and he throws a bag on the ground.
I love that robot. That
Yeah.
is like Probably my favorite part of the movie.
So,
while I was watching K2SO,
Yeah.
I was thinking, now, did they put him in a full mocap suit?
he's in a mocap suit and he's on stilts. I think.
Okay, and because I had to look that up because
I want to say I saw some footage of that a long time ago, and I want to say he was standing on stilts.
yeah, and I watched the VFX React, and they took a scene from Solo, and they were talking about that robot, and I'm like, oh, is Alan Tudyk got some robotic parts on him, and they
he
green
was
screened it
mocap.
out? Yeah, okay,
He was all mocap.
yeah, but it was good mocap. It was
Yeah.
insanely good.
So then we get a scene that looked just like a reason to spend money, and that's Bourget.
Oh my
Bourget.
god!
Now-
I hated that scene.
Same.
Yeah. What is that just supposed to be creepy? Is it just supposed to weird
Yeah.
you out? I can understand it if it was a James Gunn movie because he likes creepy monsters
Yeah.
and shit. But it could have just been like another alien with maybe some suckers on their fingers, and they put it on his head and they can read his mind. Okay, it's an
Yeah.
alien who reads your mind. Why does it have to be such a goofy,
Like a
creepy?
squid-looking
know,
thing?
and it's just like the way he says it.
Yeah.
It's over exaggerated.
Like
and
it
you're
turns
just
him
like,
on,
this
and
is
you're just
so like
Bourget.
Yeah.
But that's one thing that kind of confuses me. He's like, no lie can escape Bull Gullet. How can that thing talk and tell you, oh, he's telling the truth?
Yeah,
It
yeah.
does-
After it releases him and Bourget and Saw sit down and have some coffee. Well, here's what he said.
yeah.
I mean, yeah. How does that work?
Oh my god.
it's just a bunch of gurgles and burps.
What would an octopus sound like if it talked? Yeah. So that was kind of weird. I was just like, this is weird. Is this supposed to unnerve us? It could have just been like They could have thrown him in a cell with a big alien. That Saw could have just kind of implied that he didn't believe him and he was just going to kill him. So he was like, "Oh no, Bourget." So they could have thrown him in a cell, and you could have had like a huge alien in there that's all big and jacked and looks like it was going to beat the shit out of him or kill him or something. And it walks over to him, and then it just kind of pulls his little hand with the suckers out and and reads his mind. And you're like, "Oh, I thought this was like a big crazy guy who was going to kill us." But no, it's just he reads minds. Oh, okay. He reads minds and he works out 10 hours a day.
Dwayne Johnson as Bull Gullet.
Dwayne Johnson as Bull Gullet.
God. That's like Vin Diesel is Groot.
Yeah, well, whatever.
Well, at least Vin Diesel isn't on camera. Dwayne Johnson would have to be like, no, man, I am this alien.
Yeah.
I'm not a Vin Diesel fan, but I give him a pass on the Groot thing for 4 reasons.
How do you feel
Uh-oh.
about the archived footage of Red Leader and Gold Leader?
Well, okay. I mean, that's kind of interesting. I think part of the trivia said that Gareth Edwards and his team, maybe just his team, they found that footage.
Mm-hmm.
So they decided, hey, we should integrate this into a battle type thing at the end, and that's why we get those scenes. And really, that's supposed to imply it's a half-assed attempt to try to rectify something from A New Hope.
Mm-hmm.
But this whole battle at the end of the movie, and the fact that you see a guy who says he's Red 5.
That is the most hilarious.
And then he
thing.
gets killed,
Yeah.
which is why Luke gets his call sign.
Right.
But this battle is supposed to be the reason why they didn't have a shit ton of ships when they attack the Death Star.
Yeah.
Because a bunch of them get destroyed
The
here.
Blue Squadron,
Right.
whatever.
So that's why it's like, oh, okay, so we put this in. And that's why they integrated that footage. You're supposed to know that it's the same dudes, and a lot of dudes didn't make it back, and that's why it was kind of... But where was Biggs? Biggs should have been there.
Was Wedge there?
Wedge should have been there, too.
I think they...
Dennis Lawson would probably not give them permission to show his face.
I think they would just be finishing up. No, because this takes place like 5
It's
minutes
like
before
4 days before
New Hope. So, I mean,
before
yeah.
the Death Star's destroyed.
I was thinking, oh, they just finished the Academy, and
No.
after like 4 days,
No,
fuck
so
the Empire. But no,
Biggs should have been there.
Have you seen Rebels?
not yet.
Oh, okay. Wedge is in Rebels, and Rebels kind of explains how he gets involved with.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I was going to say, because you said he just got out of the Academy or whatever. But
No, I
that's-
think Wedge was a little old. He was always
Yeah.
like their best pilot
Yeah.
until Luke showed up and took that mantle away from him.
Yeah.
But
Those fucking Skywalkers.
Okay, so
They don't call us ground walkers.
Yeah.
Yeah, we fly, bitch. So then we get the trio proper walking around on Jeddah. They run into the episode 4 bar dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Pig Nose and his buddy Scott, I think.
They were going to his show at the club.
Yeah. So they bump into Donnie Yen and other guy I have written here. Because I don't know either of their damn names at this point. And it's weird because they run into, or they see some of Saw's dudes attack the stormtroopers, and there's a big fight, and then Cool Robot shows up and gets them out of it, but then they get captured by more stormtroopers, and then Donnie Yen comes over and kicks some ass, and the other dude shoots some guys, and then Saw's got more of Saw's guys show up, and they get captured again. It was just kind of a whole clusterfuck of stuff for a 5-minute scene of people shooting and stuff. But the point is, Saw's guys have them now, and they're going to take them to Saw, which is what they wanted in the first damn place, you know? So it was just kind of like, all right, this was filler. But you got to see Donnie Yen hit some people with a stick.
Right.
Now, my thing about Donnie Yen's character, do you think he's actually tapped into the Force, or do you think he's just that good?
I think he thinks he is. And that's all that really matters. I mean, okay,
The placebo effect.
Look, here in the real world, we have people who are like ninjas and can do amazing shit, and they practice this martial arts and discipline and meditate. And they're able to do crazy stuff. They don't have the Force. They're not tapped into some kind of magic. So just because they have the Force in this universe doesn't mean that somebody who isn't tapped into it can't do something really cool and badass. But I think he thinks that he is, and that's what gives him the confidence to rely on himself and his abilities and pull off that crazy shit, you know. Because you see, there are like little cues visually in the edit where he's listening for things and he hears somebody's foot, so he knows that guy's standing there and he can turn and hit, you know. So I don't think he's a Jedi or anything.
Okay.
I think he's just a bad mofo. Wonder if his staff said bad motherfucker.
Well, one thing I also, I've said this every time I watch the movie. I so wanted his staff to be like a lightsaber or something.
Yeah, but
because they're like bits of lightsaber on that staff.
But later on it spreads out and it's like a crossbow and he like shoots that TIE
No,
fighter.
that's a
a different thing?
Yeah, it's a totally
okay.
different weapon.
Okay. Well, he just likes long stick type things, I guess. No, I like the fact that he's not a Jedi. He doesn't have a lightsaber. If we're going to world build, let's have some people who are cool that don't have either a lightsaber or a blaster. Let's have some people who do some other shit, you know?
Right.
So, I mean, I think it's cool that he didn't have a lightsaber, that he just had a stick or whatever. So they get captured and then they go to Saw, right? So Jin and Saw talk to each other and Forrest Whitaker's all weird and creepy, you know. They said you want to kill me, you know, and he's all weird and shit. But at the same time, the Death Star shows up, okay, because I guess they figured out that the pilot was there because that's what they were going to look for or whatever. We get that scene where Cassian figures out that Bodhi's in the next cell and he's the pilot that you know started all this shit, where we actually get Bodhi's name. Jin sees the hologram. The Death Star fires. There was that cool shot where the Death Star goes in front of the sun and makes the eclipse.
I thought that was
and then
really
it shoots
cool
and then it goes away.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool. They did some neat stuff with the Death Star, like the part at the end where it's upside down. It looks like it's upside down, and it's just kind of like, well, it's space. What really is up?
Yeah, that was actually the part where they shot Jeddah.
Yeah, but it was cool because like you see that it's upside down, the laser's on the bottom, but the top's like dark and you can see the lights twinkle and shit. I just think they did a lot of cool stuff with the imagery of the Death Star in this.
Was it upside down when they shot Jeddah or Scarif?
It was when they shot Jeddah, because when they shot Scarif, it was right side up.
Was it? I don't know. I was thinking it was the other way around, but I didn't really pay attention.
I don't know.
It was upside down when Tarkin wanted the test, and Tarkin was like,
okay, that's Jeddah. The
Yeah.
test, yeah. That's where they first shoot it.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Death Star shoots. And and everybody runs to get on a ship, which is basically where we get our Rogue One Avengers assemble. So now we got Jin, we got Cassian, we got the cool robot, we got Bodhi, and then we got the 2 no-name guys. They get away on the ship. Saw does his dramatic stand in the window and watch death come for him. And then that's the part where Tarkin takes over the Death Star because he's like, "Oh, what do you know? It works.
Yeah,
Piss off, Krennic. I'm taking over.
It's mine now."
Right. So I think they have like a little. Do they have like a little art? No, they don't have an argument. That's after they go to Edu. So at some point they decide to go to Edu. And then Krennic decides to go to Edu. Everybody's going to go to Edu at the same time because that's where Galen's at. I'm trying to remember why they decided to go to Edu, other than the fact that they know that that's where Galen is. But why do they need Galen? She saw the message.
Well, remember the council wanted them to recover Galen to testify before the Senate.
That's right.
Yeah.
They radio to the base and say that they saw them, and so that's when the guy tells them, "You kill him."
Right.
My orders stand, or something like that.
Yeah.
He's like, "Yeah, proceed." So they're like, "Okay, let's go to Edu." They get there. The weather is shitty. They end up crash landing, and their ship's fucked. So that's why we were kind of like, because we hadn't seen it forever. We were kind of like, oh, they lose that ship, don't they? They have to get another ship. I guess they have to steal one of the Empire's ships. The rebels decide to send the X-wings. So Cassian, you still think is on. He's going to shoot Galen because that was his job. And he goes with Bodhi, I guess, because Bodhi can tell him how to get to the platform or whatever.
Yeah.
So they go out there together on the pretense that they're just going to do some recon. But then Jin's like, "No, fuck that. I'm going to follow him." So she follows him. And then Donnie Yen says, "No, fuck that. I'm going to follow her." So he takes off. And then K2 turns around and he's all alone. And he's like, "What the hell?" So Krennic shows up and he talks to Galen and he kills all the scientists because he knows somebody's a spy. Galen says, "No, it was me," but he kills all the scientists anyway. Right about the time that the X-wings attack. So, we got a fight. Blah 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 blah. The X-wings are blowing shit up. The bad guys launch some fighters. There's blah blah blah. Really, the only cool thing about that is Donnie Yen shoots that TIE fighter. He opens up that little crossbow thing and he's just kind of like staring off in the distance, and he just and it shoots. Yeah, that was pretty cool. But Galen ends up dead anyway. So, but Jin gets to talk to him for a second.
I have so much to tell you.
Yeah. But Cassian doesn't shoot him. He makes that conscious decision for whatever reason not to shoot the guy. I guess from a telephoto lens he could tell that he's probably a good guy. Oh, he doesn't look like a bad guy to me. Maybe I'll just let him live. Because I dig his daughter, and it would be a shame to try to get with her after I have to kill her dad. So anyway, that's all that really happens there. And then the team steals a new ship that kind of looks like a space turtle, and they take off. So after that, they have the big fight in the cargo bay where she's like, "You were going to kill my..." Donnie Yen says something to her at some point. Oh, this was like when they first landed there. He's like, "Oh, does he seem like a killer?" or something like that.
No, that wasn't directed towards Jin. That was directed to his buddy.
Right, but he said it to his friend so that Jin would hear him. And she's like, "What do you mean?" Blah, blah, blah.
And then K2SO was like, "His gun wasn't the sniper configuration, I mean."
Yeah, he didn't get programmed with any kind of loyalty. He'll throw anybody under the bus.
That's great.
Well, he said he was going to kill him right before he left. So, oh, wait, I wasn't supposed to tell you that? Damn. But so then they have this big argument in the cargo bay where she yells at him because "You were going to kill my dad." And he's like, "Yeah, but I didn't, did I? It was a rebel bomb." See, that's where, the rebels killed him. The Empire killed her mom. The rebels killed her dad. Mm-hmm. She should just be pissed at everybody. But no, she's all in on this rebel thing. And then she starts giving inspirational speeches later and shit. And I'm just like,
rebellions are built on her.
Why does she give a damn about any of these people? All they've done is fuck up her life, you know? Man. Anyway, so they get into the argument. Krennic shows up at Vader's magic castle. And
which I wish we would have gotten more of.
Well,
Vader, a Star Wars story.
Vader was just hanging out in his hot tub, so I mean, he wasn't like gonna do anything.
We needed an Edgar Wright style suit up sequence
Suit
of
up
Vader.
Yeah.
I think it probably would have come off more as like a Joel Schumacher tooling up Batman sequence.
Aww.
So anyway, no, it would have been a handicapped Vader trying to pull his pants on.
Oh, God.
A medical droid and one of those red robed guys trying to help him. No, just push the. Give me my shoehorn. Give me my shoehorn. I can't. If I can.
You know what?
Yeah.
I can do this by myself.
You know what? I'll just use the Force. You guys piss off. So Krennic has that whole meeting with Vader. I didn't make a whole lot of notes about it because we all know what happens and it's kind of cheesy. And,
Careful not to choke on your aspirations.
that was a little on the nose. So anyway, we get this feeling that Krennic's the one who's designed and pushed and really made this whole Death Star thing happen, and Tarkin just walked in and took it away. Whereas when you watch The New Hope, you're like, oh, this Tarkin guy's clearly in control. This is his base. He's the top dog. But it turns out he just stole that shit from Krennic. So Krennic's there talking to Vader like, hey, what? And I don't know why they dicked him over so bad. Maybe just because he's kind of like a whiny little bitch, which I guess Anakin should have felt some kinship with him because he's just a whiny little bitch too.
Yeah.
But so that seems kind of weird. But okay, whatever. Narrative. We got to follow some sort of story for this guy. So then the rebels get back, the Rogue One team gets back to the base, and they argue with Mon Mothma and the rest of the council, and the rest of the council says, we can't do this. We don't, oh no, we better quit and give up. Which is like, what?
Yeah.
You guys built this big damn hologram thing. You don't do that when you're just going to give up. Look at all this money we spent. We got to fight.
But the calamari guys are all in, baby.
Man, they want to fight. They're like, fuck it, I'm putting fuel in this. They're fueling the missiles.
Calamari guys for the win.
They were ready to go. Yeah, but so you think, oh, well, we're not going to fight. We're not going to go get the plans. We're just going to let the Empire take over with their destruction machine. But then we get the true full Avengers Assemble team where, Cassian's got all the take no prisoners, don't play by the rules, rebel guys. Mm-hmm. And, Jin gives a bit of a speech. I didn't put a note about a speech. But anyway, they all kind of team up. And they steal the ship, and they call themselves Rogue One, and they head off to Scarif to get the plans. And this is where you get the scene where Jimmy Smits talks to Mon Mothma, and she's like, "Oh, your friend," and he's like, "He served me well in the Clone Wars." Served you, motherfucker? He didn't work for your ass. Anyway, that always kind of bothered me, but they're hearkening back to a line of dialogue from Episode 4. So Jimmy says he's going to go for Obi-Wan, and I think shortly, we don't get the droid cameo for another few minutes, but anyway. So then they're there. They get there. They give it the fake code. They get through the shield gate. That's when Jin gives her inspirational speech to the crew of the Space Turtle. And right about the same time, Krennic arrives. He's always like going exactly the same place they're going. They land. Jin and Cassian get their disguises so they can go in. They go in to look for the plans. And then this is what you said. The paintball course battle starts.
Yeah, because
those landing pads are set up like a
yeah. You got two crates on either side, then go up like 5 feet. You got one crate, go up a diagonal 5 feet, one crate.
Yeah, it's like a GTA survival level, GTA 5 survival.
Yeah,
mission.
definitely.
Nothing.
Oh no, I'm gonna try and find you guys a picture I took from that Star Wars convention.
Oh yeah,
early in the year. They had this
saucy.
like huge diorama of Scarif, and it's
really?
like throughout the whole
like
week
a
of the
scale model thing.
Yeah, pretty much. And like it was free. Like they had this little booth set up, and they were like, "Oh, come and decorate and build a part of the Scarif battle, and it's like anybody could like sit down at this table and like paint models. And,
oh, really?
Yeah, and then by the end of the week, they had this whole complete diary.
Well, I was going to ask you.
That is insane.
I was going to ask you. So what? They had the scale model they used when they filmed, or this is something they built
it's just
for
something
the event,
they built for the event.
Well, that's pretty cool. Yeah, it just shows how much money they got. They can just let's have them build a scale model of the entire city. What? Are you crazy? Nah, screw it. Yeah, seems kind of crazy. While you're looking for that, yeah. So the paintball course battle starts. The Death Star. Vader shows up, and
Well, he shows up for a brief minute to watch the.
Well, okay, so the Death Star hears about that. You see Tarkin in there, and he hears about something going on Scarif.
Right.
So he's like, okay, let's go to Scarif, which confirms that the Death Star can travel through hyperspace. We don't see it, but it can.
Mm-hmm.
And then he tells Vader to meet him there or something, because I have, so he makes mention that Vader's supposed to go there and handle some shit. So at the same time, the rebels find out that somebody's attacking Scarif. I don't know who's getting all this damn information, man. It's like everybody knows everything. It's like they got CNN, Galactic CNN or something.
Mm-hmm.
But the rebels hear the news, and then they decide to send their fleet, because they're like, well, shit, I guess we're all in now. And yeah, the fish people are like, woohoo, let's go kill some people. So then we get the droid cameo real quick. Scarif? What the hell is everybody going to Scarif for? That's fucking stupid. So anyway.
I like how C-3PO is from Arkansas now.
Yeah, like the rogue leader, or the Red 5 leader,
I can't see him.
Yeah, just hold him off for a few seconds. Yeah, Biggs went all
Great.
Arkansas.
I forgot
too.
about that.
I can't see him. So then we get our first AT-AT shows up and is shooting. So it's like, Jim, robot camels. So
now on Scarif. Were these AT-ATs, and was their armor too strong for blasters?
Hell no.
So apparently they thought back, before Empire hits, they thought back and they're like, yeah, we should bust out those AT-ATs again. Yeah, I think we should
Let's armor him up first before we send him to Hoth.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
They were building this thing the entire week.
Wow.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That is huge.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the whole floor there, man.
Yeah,
It's
man.
that's like when you watch a gymnastics competition and they do the floor exercise. It's like that big.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez, Pete, man.
Oh yeah.
Did you get to do anything, or you just watched?
Nah, I just watched.
Oh.
I didn't have enough time to actually go and I had 1 hour a day where I could go walk the floor.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can pause this recording, and I don't want to try it because we're on a kind of a roll. It seems to be going good, so I'm gonna go piss and get another drink. You guys talk about something Rogue One related.
Okay.
Okay. We'll bring it back up when you get here.
Yeah.
So, now that we're on Scarif, I'm going to jump the gun a little bit. And it's where she's realigning the satellite. I wish they would have kept this scene from the trailer. Like right when she realigns it. And that TIE fighter comes down right in front of her.
Yeah.
You remember that scene from the trailer. I wish they would have kept that, because another thing that I read, again, don't quote me on this. This is a bunch of fan speculation.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently, when that TIE fighter came down in front of her, and this is where Cassian came back, but this time he had like one of the troopers' massive rifles and just shot the thing down with one shot.
Yeah.
Like right through the window of the TIE fighter. And the TIE fighter hits the satellite again, supposedly, and knocks it out of line.
Yeah.
So she has to line it back up, and this is where Krennic has the time to come up. And
Yeah. Something I noticed about that scene, and I know...
From the movie or from the trailer?
Well, no, from the movie.
Okay.
Is that, I guess... So this kind of... Whenever they do something like this, it's just to move the story along. But I was like... How did she know, when the thing freaks out and is like, you got to realign the dish to get this message out.
How'd she know how to realign the dish?
One, how did she know how to realign the dish? And then two, like that thing must have been pre-programmed just to like.
It was one button. It was a switch.
Yeah, it was
realign dish. Oh, click.
Yeah, it's like
it goes exactly where you want it.
Exactly.
You can read your mind.
It's like no calculations needed. It's just it'll go wherever.
Apparently, this happens rather often. So instead of sending a mechanic up there, damn it all, the mechanic finally just put in like a little shortcut like you do on Premiere or something like that, and he's like, okay,
align disk.
Yeah.
You guys don't need me anymore. I put a button up there that realigns it perfectly.
Does it itself. They kept calling, Todd, could you come back up here to realign? Oh, God. Okay, look, I'm going to put in a subroutine. Just flip this lever.
Mm-hmm.
See, this is why I didn't want to build this satellite on an island.
Okay.
Also, who puts their like transmission like station at the very top, like right underneath this dish?
That's
like,
the best. Oh, what? Where the plans are stored?
no. Just like I would think there would be a control room somewhere in the station that operates the transmission, at the very top of the tower, Like if you ever need to transmit plans, you got to go all the way up there and insert the little thing.
Hey, Steve, did you transmit those plans? Damn, I guess I better do it. Oh, look, it's raining.
Yeah.
Do I really have to do it? Yep, you got to go all the way up there.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? I bet you're going to have to line that dish, too, because Todd's not here. Oh, man.
Can I at least get like a TIE fighter ride up there or something?
Nope. That costs money. You know how much fuel that uses?
Don't we have an elevator? Nah, it's on the Fritz.
Hovering uses so much fuel. We can't do that. Okay. Where did I leave off? The AT-AT?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the rebels arrive, and then your old footage comes into it.
Mm-hmm.
We talked a little bit about that. So now we get into just the silly, stupid shit because we needed a mechanism to kill these guys off one at a time. Okay? So Bodhi has to tie in the communications tower to the ship so he can send a signal to the rebels to say, hey, we're going to send you a transmission.
Mm-hmm.
We're just going to send you a PDF.
Now correct me if I'm wrong, but Bodhi has to hook his ship up to the communications tower
Yeah.
so he can talk to the rebel ships and say, we're going to send you a transmission. But in order to send the transmission, they have to take the shield down? Is that right? Because
I think
they crash those Star Destroyers into the shield thing, and then they can send it. So how did his message get out? What you can talk on a cell phone, but you can't send a data packet?
Yeah, because K2SO is like the size of the files. It won't make it with that gate up. So you can clearly send a text message, but you can't send a PDF.
Yeah. I can say, hey guys, we're down here. We're going to send you a PDF, but you got to destroy that shield because while mobile voice works, mobile data does not unless you take the shield down. Yeah, that was kind of... Okay, so anyway, so Bodhi has to tie this thing in, which means he's got a big cable. I did like that scene, though, where he comes out and he straps that cable to his back and he's like, okay, I got to go tie this thing in. You get those, like, just random rebel trooper guys standing there, and he's like, I got to go tie this thing in, and then one of you guys is going to have to go out there and do that. And they're like, what?
Yeah.
They kind of got this look on their face like, man, you are crazy.
I just thought it was hilarious when Bodhi was talking like, okay, one of you's got to flip the main switch.
Yeah, what's it look like?
Yeah.
What am I looking for? Is it labeled? What the hell? There's a sticky label on there? What?
It looks like a switch.
It looks like the same switch that Todd put up to align the dish. It's the same damn thing.
It's like every damn switch in the movie is just a little T-bar.
Yeah.
Like that. Like... Yeah.
You know, it was funny because
they're just using a switchboard from one of the trucks.
Yeah,
you get some shots every time they fire the Death Star. You get some shots of control room guys pushing buttons and stuff.
Yeah, it's just a switch.
And I was like, you know what? Well, there's like one where a guy's got some big square buttons and he pushes them in a sequence. And I'm like, I wonder if there's footage in episode 4 of a similar guy. I wonder if he does the same sequence of buttons. If I had like a lot of free time and no job, I'd probably be doing shit like that.
I wouldn't think so because they specify when they fire the Death Star in this movie that they want a single reactor
Yeah.
Yeah,
But the firing sequence might be the same, even though...
I wouldn't think so, because this is the only movie where they're like, oh, I want a single reactor because I just want to destroy this city, not the whole planet. And then the rest of the saga is just a planet destroyer.
Planet.
Yeah.
That's because Tarkin's a ham fist, man. He's all or nothing. He's, Krennic's able to, Krennic's got foreplay game, but Tarkin just sticks it in and it's over. Okay. So where did I leave off? Okay, yeah. So Bodhi has to do this thing, and he gets it hooked up and all that shit, and it sets up the sequence where nobody can get to the panel, and so Donnie Yen does his magic chant and walks out there and is able to flip the switch, and so Bodhi can send the signal. So then Donnie Yen dies, gets shot, which pisses off his no-name friend who runs out there and. Now the Death Troopers, they suck. They can't hit anything. Yeah. So he runs out there and manages to kill most of them before he gets killed. Now he gets blown up by a grenade, doesn't he?
He does. He just looks at it and accepts his fate. He's just like, I've
got Bodhi, blah, blah, blah. So he signals the rebel fleet of the transmission. They need to disable the shield, right? So... This is, okay, I skipped ahead a little bit, but this is where K2 gets his blaster from Jin, okay? So the blaster that Jin had, that he was so pissed off that Cassie was going to let her keep, she gives it to him, and he finally gets his blaster.
It's a different blaster.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, it's a Stormtrooper blaster.
She pulls out a blaster to shoot the glass.
Okay, so he's all cool, and I guess that's a moment between them, where now they're friends, and they can trust each other, because she gives him a blaster. You matter, K2. You're one of us. Yeah. Have a blaster. So okay, so there's more fighting. K2 shoots a bunch of guys in a really cool fashion. He's pretty awesome. You get more of that old footage. Blah blah blah. Okay. Now here was an interesting thing. When Cassian and Jin are looking for the file in the computer, the non-alphabetized list, I might add. They're rattling off the names of these projects, right? And one of them, I want to say Cassian says it, but he says hyperspace tracking. Now that is the whole plot point of The Last Jedi, is it not?
Yes, it is.
They can track them
through hyperspace. So I thought that was kind of a neat.
They were already working on it.
Yeah,
it's like they thought to put that in there. Okay. So anyway, I wanted to mention that. So then, K2 ends up dying because he seals the vault because the bad guys are coming in and all this stuff, and he shoots a bunch of them and all this stuff, but then he gets killed, which really sucks dick. I was hoping... Now, there's a scene earlier when they first break in there, and Jin and Cassian... They're in the base. They've already got their outfits and stuff.
Oh, I know what you're gonna say.
But K2 uses a little communication thing, and he sticks it in the back of the head of one of the other droids that looks like him, and he's trying to figure out where the shit is or something. I guess he downloads a map or something, a Google Doc or something. And I was hoping that he had uploaded his code to that robot, and when he got shot outside the vault. Later on, he would pop back up, and it would be him in a different droid that looks just like him. But that doesn't happen. So anyway, so K2's dead. Cassian and Jin are climbing the thing to get the data thing, and Krennic goes to the vault. Bodhi got the cable attached. The rebels are pinned down by the death troops. Jin and Cassian are climbing. So they got to hit the master switch. So this is the part where Donnie Yen goes out, hits the switch. He dies. I have torpedoes written here. Why do I have torpedoes written here?
Because
who shoots torpedoes?
This is when the X-Wings were coming along, and they were like, yeah, we know how to destroy the shield now.
The Y-Wings dropped some torpedoes.
Oh, yeah, the Y-Wings.
And that was to destroy the shield? Okay. So Bodhi sends the message.
And then immediately dies right after.
This is... Okay, yeah. The guy says to get the Hammerhead Corvette. Then Bodhi dies. And then the Asian guy, the nameless guy, goes out and shoots a bunch of Death Troopers and gets killed. So those 3 are all dead. Jin thinks that Cassian might be dead because he gets winged or something and falls and lands
Breaks
on a
his
platform.
spine, clearly.
Breaks on his spine. Clearly.
Yeah.
He's clearly going to have a limp. And Jin goes through the death sphincter door to get out to the top.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I think it slowed down when she swung through it. Like, when she looks up at it, there's clearly a sequence. Like 2 seconds, closed. 2 seconds, closed.
Time, yeah.
Oh, there's someone coming through. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Oh, okay, you're through. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Ka-shunk.
There's clearly a guy who sits there and manually pushes a button all day.
Yeah.
And go, somebody's in there. Oh, I'll just wait. Okay, there.
It's his fault that the rebels now have the Death Star plans.
Right,
That
it's his
one
fault,
guy.
that one guy. He probably got transferred, and he was the guy who told the other dude to hold his fire at the beginning of New Hope and didn't shoot down the escape pod.
So it's really that one guy's
fault. Everywhere he goes, he just perpetuates the saga.
All right, Disney Plus, you need to be listening. We need a series about that guy.
The Ballad of Dave. So then the Corvette rams into the Star Destroyer. Jin has to align the dish. The Star Destroyer cuts through another Star Destroyer. Krennic makes it to the top and has this confrontation with Jin where, "Who are you?" And she's like, "I'm Galen's daughter." She doesn't say anything like, "You killed my mom, asshole."
Also, he should know who she is because when they were on Edu and she got onto the platform just before the rebel...
She says father?
Yeah, she says
No,
father.
he was gone, though, wasn't he?
No,
he wasn't. He was
hadn't
still
left
there.
yet?
No, because they...
She yells father right before the explosion.
Yeah,
And
and
Krennic
then-
clearly looks at her like,
What?
Yeah.
yeah,
Is that my daughter? What? Who's over there yelling father? Maybe he thought it was his daughter.
whose kid is this?
Whose kid is this? Hey, guys, whose kid is this? It's not bring your daughter to work day.
That's tomorrow.
That's tomorrow. Gary, don't bring your daughter till tomorrow.
Sorry.
So yeah, they have their little confrontation, and Cassian shoots Krennic when he's not looking because he's a cold-hearted, dirty bastard. He'll cheat.
He shot first.
I was gonna say that.
The Star Destroyer cuts the shield thing in half, and the transmission goes up. And right about that time, the Death Star shows up.
Kaboom.
So they leave Krennic for dead up there, which I don't know if anyone catches this later on, but they leave him for dead up there, and they go down the elevator ride. Right about that time, the Death Star fires, okay? Because Tarkin's like, fuck this shit, blow him up. So it fires. And when you see the beam come down, it cuts off the top of that tower and then shoots, like, the horizon.
Mm-hmm.
So realistically, Krennic got killed by the Death Star blast.
Yeah.
Because he was at the top of that tower. So, poetic justice.
The Empire. We kill our employees.
Yeah. So then all the rebels are like, let's get the hell out of here. They start going off into hyperspace right about the time that Vader gets there.
Some of them even smack into his Star Destroyer.
Yeah. That was pretty cool. So Vader shows up, and they're trying to get out in his Star
And
Destroyer.
they're already in light speed.
You get the scene where Jin and Cassian walk out, and they're on the beach, and they have their little scene where you think they might hug or kiss or something, but they don't. And the wave comes and it kills them. So now they're dead too. You see the plans get put onto a disc. Mm-hmm. A guy says, "Here, take this disc, the biggest SD card in the world." These guys can travel faster than the speed of light, but they don't have micro storage. It's weird.
We use floppy disks and VCR tapes.
Yeah, everything's on a tape. Tape? Magnetic tape? Are you crazy?
Yeah.
So anyway, then we get the Vader scene. All right. I know you guys probably want to talk about the Vader scene for a while. Go ahead.
Well, now that we can talk more deeply about Vader, I just did a search of what his suit looked like because it varies between New Hope and Empire.
The helmet was the New Hope helmet.
Yeah.
Because it has the point between the eyes. After A New Hope, it has a flat
thing.
But
now, there were some subtle details.
Something about the chest box.
Well, the chest box went green and red, and then it had like 3 buttons.
Okay.
But the thing I wanted to bring up, and this is a subtle thing, his cape is tucked under his mask, but underneath that, his tunic is actually thrown over his shoulders.
Oh, the chest piece?
Yeah. And then in Empire, it gets tucked under. That way we get more of the chest piece, and then we get the chain.
Yeah.
But in the last scene of Rogue One, where he's staring out into space,
Right.
to me, it didn't look like his lenses were red like they were in New Hope and when he talked to Krennic. Like when he talked to Krennic, those lenses are clearly red.
That could be a completely digital scene where he's standing there on that,
Yeah, it could be.
that launch bay or whatever,
But
It could have just been CG. But yeah, it did have red lenses, though. You could see when it's actually a dude in a suit and there's lights hitting it and stuff, it's definitely red lenses.
yeah, you could even see through them at some points.
Oh, that's cool. Because you can see through them in A New Hope.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. George Lucas might have fixed that, but in the original version, you could see eyes.
And the lightsaber sound effect sounded a little more deep, in my opinion. And his voice sounded a little off, too.
That's because James Earl Jones is 100 years old now. But, like, even in, like, Last Jedi and Force Awakens, the lightsaber sounds are a little wonky.
Well,
It's a new group of people doing them, and it's not like they showed up with a flash drive. Here's the lightsaber sounds. Don't lose this. It's like they just made their new ones, and they tried to come close, but they wanted to put some flair on it or something.
Yeah, I was cool with Kylo's sound effect, but after hearing Anakin's lightsaber boot up so many times...
Well, I remember you had a problem with blue lightsaber in The Force Awakens.
I do.
Every time you were like, it doesn't sound right. That thing sounds weird. What the hell? Blah, blah,
yeah,
blah. I like Kylo's, but this one sounds weird.
It just sounds off, so... I think in Rogue One, they kind of fixed that issue and made it sound like the classic Skywalker lightsaber, even though it's not. It's a totally different saber.
So, the only thing I would do to that Vader scene is in the music, I would just have it be the choir. I would take out all the horns because I would just play that scene like a horror movie, man.
Yeah.
And I think if you just had the madrigal, the choral type thing going, no horns, no string sections, none of that, I think it would have been just cooler, But I really, it really is just the best part of the movie. Just that scene, man. That scene is worth it.
Yeah, I could watch it on a loop.
I did for a while. When people were uploading it, every now and again, you'd get a video where you could watch it, and then it would get taken down and stuff. I would, man. I'd save every one of them so I could just go and watch it because it's just super epic. So, yeah, he goes through and he cuts all these people down and shit, and then actually director Gareth Edwards throws a switch, and the ship leaves, okay? Leia's ship leaves, and they have the plan. So you get Vader standing there. And then we get the, have written down here, awful CGI Leia. And that's the end of the movie.
Now, before we completely close the book on Rogue One and jump onto your version, which I know you should talk about, there was something you pointed out that we had to rewind.
What?
It was Darth Vader's scene where you were like, did he catch that bullet and then throw it back?
Oh, yeah. Well,
but
yeah.
I think that was just like,
I think
it was just to show he could do it for Empire.
I think the perspective, you don't realize that someone's shooting at him at that time because he's got his hand in a fist and then he just holds it out and it looks like he's just shooting a laser from his damn hand, and I'm like, what the hell? And I thought, did he like catch one and hold it and then throw it? Because that would be badass. But
no, he just
deflects
shit.
one.
Yeah.
But
I love that scene.
Oh man, it's so good.
But
yeah, I felt a butt coming along.
But on one hand, it's like he is totally badass in that scene, and like you kind of get like a hint of Anakin
Yeah.
Like his
Yeah.
just blind rage.
Well, especially the scene where he's in the background and you're just looking through the gap as the door's closing.
Yeah.
And he's just like walking. Yeah,
Dude,
that's pretty
yeah.
badass.
But then, you go into the original trilogy and he's just kind of like a robot using both hands
Have you
to
seen
swing.
Have you seen where
Right.
that guy redid that scene?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You seen that
That's
whole
pretty
thing?
cool, yeah.
Oh my god, that's so badass.
Yeah, it's a little too shiny in my opinion, but
I would cut that in to
With the
a
original.
copy of A New Hope and never watch the any other.
the only
version.
special edition we want.
Oh yeah, man, that's so bad.
Just
Oh, yeah.
that one
And-
scene.
And I really appreciate that scene in Rogue One with Vader
right.
at the end because, in the prequels, they really build up Anakin to be like the strongest Jedi there
Yeah.
ever will be or ever was. And,
Right.
then he
Yeah.
turns into Darth Vader. And, like I said, in the original trilogy, he just kind of turns into this really stiff robot, like just swinging left and right.
A Scottish stuntman in a heavy
Yeah,
suit.
yeah, pretty much. But in that scene, like you kind of are like, oh my god, like this guy is like the strongest motherfucker.
Yeah. He just killed 30 guys
Yeah.
by himself, and
And
it
now
took
we-
him 5 minutes.
And now we don't want to watch the original Vader because he's just so ham-fisted and
yeah.
he's not as badass. But then again, those were made in like the 70s.
Yeah.
So
It's
How
more
long-
like fencing style fighting.
How long do you think it is before Disney reboots and redoes the original trilogy?
Oh god, I wouldn't want that.
Nobody wants it, but
Yeah.
how long do you think it's gonna be before they do it?
I don't think they're going to do it.
People would riot. Like they would have to wait until the last like true diehard fans of the original trilogy die.
People like me who saw all of them in the
Yeah.
theater. We'd all have to be dead before they could do that.
They would have to wait until the world is full of like millennials in their 40s and 50s.
Yeah, when
Yeah.
you guys are my age,
Yeah.
and you're like, well, I could go for some more Star Wars. I think that'd be cool. Whatever.
And they just remake 4, 5, 6. We've seen this before, but why didn't they make this?
I would feel betrayed
Yeah.
by the movie industry.
a little bit.
Yeah.
I already feel betrayed by the movie industry.
Well, yeah, because they just remake all these classic films, but it's like if you touch Star Wars and do that,
See,
like,
I mean,
You're going to have people protesting all of Hollywood at
Yeah.
that point.
Well, I think, isn't Disney based out of Florida? Anyway.
Attack!
So yeah, that's Rogue One. I wanted so much more from that movie, man.
Now,
I liked it. I thought it was a nice
It's all
little.
right.
I liked it because I was like, man, this really kind of fills in like a crucial, like, part of the original trilogy. Like, when you watch A New Hope, you're just kind of like, oh, they conveniently got these plans out of nowhere. But
Wonder how that happened.
Yeah, but yeah, this is like a cool little story of like, oh, that's how that happened.
Yeah.
so after talking about it for like a good hour and a half, have our letter grades changed at all?
I mean, for what it is, I'd still give it like a C-. I mean, I can watch it. I could probably watch it and enjoy it more than I could The Last Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
Because Rogue One pisses me off because it's lazy. The Last Jedi pisses me off because it doesn't make any damn sense.
Right.
But Rogue One just pisses me off because it's lazy. Because, I mean, you can't tell me, hey, they're going to make a movie about a team of rebels stealing the Death Star plans, and then give me 2.5 years to think about it. Because I'm going to come up with something that, and yours is not going to be good enough. It's like the prequels.
Yeah.
We'd all thought about those stories
For like
for so
30
long
years.
that when we finally got a version, we didn't like it because it wasn't what we thought.
Mm-hmm.
So this was kind of the same way. I expected them to do certain things and they just didn't do them.
So something I just thought of.
Yes.
Would you say, is it implied that Krennic and Galen Erso kind of came up with the idea of the Death Star?
I think it was supposed to be Krennic's baby. And he went to Galen and said, I want this. How would we do it? And Galen's the scientist guy who made it happen. He's Oppenheimer. He made it happen. But Krennic was, I need a fucking weapon that can destroy a planet.
but the Death Star, like, was first conceptualized in Attack of the Clones.
Right. You see those plans.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, so
you
who
see those
came
plans.
up with it?
And okay, so here's the thing. I think maybe they had the idea for the space station, but maybe Galen was the guy who made the laser work.
Okay.
Because at the beginning, when he goes to get him on the moisture farm on the side of the volcano or whatever, doesn't he say, I need you to come back, it doesn't work, or something like that?
Yeah,
So-
he says something along those
So
lines.
it's like, you know, in Attack of the Clones, the Separatists and that little council of whoever, like, you know.
Yeah, they may have come up with the original idea.
They come up with the idea, but then they're like, we need somebody to actually do it.
So it's going to be a giant space station the size of a moon, and it's going to have a big laser on it, How do we make that work? We'll get some guys to make the laser work. But look, it's a ball, and it's got bedrooms and shit, and a couple of cafeterias. It's gonna be sweet.
It's got elevators.
I think they had the basic. There's a trash compactor, but but I think it's got its own sanitation system. But I think maybe Galen was the laser guy.
Yeah, and just thinking about it now, I'm kind of wondering, like, how the timeline exactly lines up. Because, you know, at the end of Revenge of the Sith, you get that shot of the Death Star being built, and it looks like over 50% done. And then, you know, in this Rogue One, you see the last shot of, like, the laser finally being, like, installed.
Well, they had to keep taking it out because they couldn't get it to work.
Well,
I guess that's their excuse.
Yeah,
they try a bunch of trial and error.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, dude, it's an engineer. They're going to have to test this thing like hundreds of times. So they put one big dish in. This is like $2 million.
So look, A New Hope is supposed to be 19 years after Revenge of the Sith.
Right.
Okay? So I'm going to have to write this down because I'm going to get lost here. So Revenge of the Sith, 19 years, A New Hope. Now, how old do we think Jyn is?
Jyn has got to be,
Well, remember, she says she hasn't seen her father in 15 years, so 15 plus however old you think she is in the beginning.
Okay,
she has to be like 7 or 8 at the beginning.
Okay, so 7 or 8. So she's 23?
In her 20s.
23, 24.
Early to mid-20s.
Okay, so that means... So when you see her on the moisture farm, you're saying she's 7 or 8, but she has that flashback where they're on Coruscant and they're having that party in the living room, and she's there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she's still about
So we'll say
same
maybe
age.
she's a year younger, 2 years younger.
Yeah, because on the cast list, it clearly designates like young Jyn and then younger Jyn.
So we'll say that was 16 or 17 years ago. Okay. So that would put it at 2 years after Revenge of the Sith, when we know they were already building it. Mm-hmm. So maybe they were building it, and then after a couple more years, they were like, we need a guy to make this laser work. Or maybe, you know, they had got him a year before or something like that, and he was cool with it for a while, but then he decided, I need to get out of here or something. So, yeah, I guess it's possible that they were working on the station, they knew what they wanted, they just hadn't completely finalized and figured it out, and that's when they brought Galen in to make the laser work. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, he did kind of make it sound like I built a flaw into the reactor, blah, blah, blah. It kind of made it sound like he built the damn thing from the ground up, but we know that can't be true.
Yeah.
Well, the reactor has to be connected to the laser because, like Andrew said, it was like one reactor for a city and like 4 reactors to destroy a whole planet. And
yeah.
So, I mean, but my big thing is if it's like already in progress and it's 19 years before New Hope, why didn't like another engineer who was like full on Empire, didn't want to betray them at all, why didn't he go in and be like, oh, there's like this little shaft here that leads right to the...
Well, then you get into the idea of, there's a guy in charge and he approves everything, and in order to see that, you got to deal with him. And I guess maybe he was clever and he just kept it away from the wrong people. He didn't let anybody know what his little thing was. Now okay. I guess I'm going to open this can.
Oh, man.
Oh, no.
Now, in my version...
Yeah.
Sit back and get comfy, folks.
See, here's my thing. I would have tied this shit in way more than they did. Okay? This movie ends right before A New Hope. And that's fine. Mm-hmm. But I would have had it overlap. okay? If you're going to go back and do something that ties in, don't have it tie in the most minuscule way. All right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we see Leia's ship take off, and then I guess Vader's standing there at that launch bay or whatever. So he has to get back to his Star Destroyer, and then they have to chase after him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then that's where A New Hope starts.
Right.
So between the end of this movie and A New Hope, you've got maybe 20 minutes, okay? So they don't overlap at all. They just touch each other.
Okay.
See where I'm at? What did I make a mistake?
Well, I wouldn't. Well, there has to be a jump to hyperspace somewhere in there because
right.
Yeah.
But then they come out of hyperspace because I guess they got to Tatooine,
right.
which is because she was supposed to go find Obi-Wan.
Right.
So then the Star Destroyer that's chasing them jumps out of hyperspace, and there they are. But when the movie ends, her ship takes off, and Vader's standing there.
Mm-hmm.
So we know in A New Hope, he's on his Star Destroyer. So he has to get back to his Star Destroyer, and then they take off after him. And then you get A New Hope.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't overlap. I would have overlapped this shit, and here's how I would have done it. So I would have made... See, I want to make these characters more interesting, okay? So at the beginning... I would have had Jin run off and Saw gets her, just like you think. But I either would have written the mother out or Krennic takes the mother and Galen. Both. Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's the last time Jin sees them. They're gone. She doesn't know if they're alive or not, whatever. Saw picks her up, takes her, and starts raising her the crazy rebel way. Because they gave us the whole thing of the Empire killed her mom, the rebels killed her dad. She should have no allegiance to anybody, right? But they didn't capitalize on that for some reason, okay? So you could I guess you could leave it the way you want, but I mean, either way, I would want the whole thing with them going for her dad. I would leave till the end. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So they would get her. They would have to get the plans, all this stuff. You could kind of do it the same way with a battle and all this stuff, but I would want them to get away and deliver and like meet Princess Leia or something. Mm-hmm. And hand the plans over to her because that was the plan. They were supposed to meet a courier. They set it up that way. And so she takes off with the tape. But I would have liked it for the transmission to get beamed to their ship so they have a copy.
Mm-hmm.
But, here's the thing. Instead of Donnie Yen and his other guy, I would fill them with one character. And this would be a sort of a headstrong young rebel guy who's actually the son of that general guy that keeps telling Cassian what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And he would get killed in the course of getting the tapes, okay? So that when they get back, the general's pissed off, and he basically kind of fires Cassian, okay? So Cassian gets kicked out, and Jin is like, fuck you guys, I don't want to be a part of any of this shit. Because she was raised by Saw. She should be more his ideology, okay? Mm-hmm. And the rebels didn't want to help. So I would have them get away without the rebel fleet showing up, okay? So they deliver a copy of the tapes to Leia. And then Cassian gets kicked out. And she's like, screw you guys, I don't want to be here. So they take off and maybe keep K2SO, okay? I don't know. Maybe Bodhi could die too because we don't need him at this point.
He's just a pilot.
Yeah, it's just a pilot. Pilot. So they would go off to find her dad because they get some rumor that the Empire had them, and then once they were done with them, they just dumped them on some planet or something like that. Blah blah blah. But then when they get there, they find out that they've been dead a long time. Okay. So that whole message thing from her dad. Okay, I mean, these people have holographic technology and they can travel faster than light speed. I think they have some technology. Mm-hmm. So that whole thing, okay, we could set up a precedent also about how the rebels are really elusive and the Empire hasn't been able to find them and all this stuff. And they're like, how the hell are we going to get rid of these rebels? So I would have made it that Krennic faked a hologram message of Galen to try to get Jyn involved. It was all a decoy. He made up the whole thing about the flaw because he knew that the rebels would have to go after it. Okay,
that's
to try to draw them out. So they get there, they find out that Galen's dead, and they're like, well, what the hell? How could he have sent this message if he's been dead for 12 years or something like that? So then they're like, well, I don't know. What are we going to do now? And you know how you get that scene in A New Hope where Luke's just kind of sitting there with a blanket on him at the chessboard, and he's just kind of thinking? Mm-hmm. I would have kind of a moment like that, but they would be on the ship because they don't know where to go now. They don't know what to do. And maybe Jyn or maybe Bodhi, I don't know, somebody, or maybe K2, somebody's looking through these plans because they have a copy of it, right? Mm-hmm. And they're like, yeah, I see this reactor thing and stuff, but that's clearly fake. And the whole Rebel fleet is about to fly out there after this to do this, and they have no idea it's just a trap. It's a trap. So they would be like, holy shit, the whole rebellion is going to be dead, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know, I guess you could do something to tie in. Now they give a shit again. But they would be like, okay, they're going to fire some photon torpedoes at this thing. We have to go in there and plant some charges. So you get Jyn, you get Cassian, you get K2. They have to infiltrate the Death Star, and they have to somehow get in there and rework something or redo something or plant some charges so that when the rebels show up and do shoot the torpedoes down there, it blows it up. Now, I'm not trying to take anything away from Luke. He's still going to use the Force, and it's only 2 meters wide, but I used to bullseye one France in my T-16 back home. So, ding. So you can still have that. I'm not trying to take the Death Star victory away from Luke and Han.
Yeah.
But I would like a layer of complexity there to where it's like, oh, shit. And then Cassian and Jyn and K2 and maybe Bodhi or whoever could all die on the Death Star, but it would be like a worthy sacrifice, as opposed to, well, we sent that transmission. I guess we might as well just sit here and watch this pseudo sunset come and kill us. I mean,
I can already see this scene in my head.
But it could be like they could get picked off one at a time, trying to make it happen. Put a little suspense into it, and then finally one of them manages to do the last thing or flip the switch that powers the things that then Luke shoots the torpedoes and it blows up. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's like, let's not take away from the climax of A New Hope, but let's put another layer under there that means something for these characters. I mean, it just, I really, would have liked that way better.
Right.
And after going back and watching A New Hope, another theory that I think Mark Bernardin proposed, but this could have been the 2 Asian guys. The scene in A New Hope where Darth Vader's going for his TIE fighter, and he sees those 2 TIE pilots, then the black uniforms that look like stormtroopers, and he says, "You two, come with me." And they go out there. Well, in the trench run, one of those guys says something. Okay,
look out.
So, he says, so he's actually a stormtrooper. But I thought it would have been cool if it could have been the 2 Asian guys in disguise. They're like, maybe Jyn and Cassian are like, okay, we're almost done here. You guys go ahead for the launch base so you can get out of here. Okay, So they hit 2 guys over the head in those uniforms and put them on so they can try to get... And they run into Vader, and he's like, "You two, come with me." So they're like, oh, shit. So they follow him. And it turns out it's those 2 guys. Donnie Yen's blind. He would have to be the one that clips Vader because he's trying to use, his perceptions, or maybe he does have the Force or something. But But that whole idea gets blown out of the water because you hear that one guy talk. They are actual stormtrooper pilots. But, you could have done some layers, That whole thing about, but I liked that whole thing about Krennic used that hologram as a trap to lure the rebels out as opposed to it really was Galen and, blah, blah, blah. Because like you said, no engineer looked at that and said, hey, this is just like a big hole in the side. Why don't you put some plywood or something on it? I mean...
Yeah. I feel like they've already kind of done that, though.
Done what?
The whole, I'm going to, purposefully give you this information, but it's actually false information.
Who did that?
Well, not false information, but Return of the Jedi, when the Bothan spies died getting this information, but really, when Luke is in the throne room, he's like, I was the one that did that, now watch your fleet die.
How are the shields still up if they knew we were coming?
Yeah.
But
I got the attack.
So it's kind of like, Krennic doing that, he's like, oh, all these rebels are going to show up.
Maybe the Emperor stole that idea from him just like Tarkin stole the Death Star from him. Yeah. Krennic was the mastermind of the Empire.
Is behind the whole thing.
He's Snoke. Krennic is Snoke.
Oh my god, done.
So, if we could go
sign us up, JJ.
Yeah.
If we could jump back on them planting the charges.
Right.
I already see the scene in my head. It's happening during the trench run.
Oh,
right?
yeah. It's got to be the last minute.
I see this thing like all three of them are in there. I don't think they should get picked off one by one, but you see maybe like Bodhi's on the bottom and he puts down like the last charge and flips the switch to arm him. And right when he flips the switch, you see the torpedo come in, and it's coming in slow motion. You got this music building up.
Oh, shit.
And you see Jin and Cassie and look at each other, and they just nod. And you just see this.
It's like the same exact little situation, except rather than being on a beach, they're
actually doing something worthwhile. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, see, I mean, when you really think about it, a lot of those things could have been done in a better, more meaningful way.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's why I was disappointed in it, I'd thought about it. And I was like, ooh, it'd be cool if they did this. Ooh, it'd be cool if they did that. Ooh. But they didn't give me shit,
Yeah.
That's why going into Solo, I wanted two things.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted a lot of Chewbacca, and I wanted Han to shoot somebody first. And I got both of those. So I was like, can't complain.
Yeah.
I got what I wanted.
Oh, man. Yeah, God, talking about Solo, there's still some loose ends from that movie that they have to...
Like what?
Like the whole Darth Maul thing?
Well, Darth Maul was running the Crimson
Dawn.
Dawn? Or is that what they're called?
Crimson Dawn, yeah.
Okay. I keep thinking that's the group from Die Hard.
Yeah.
Asian Dawn.
Because, so when would you say that Solo takes place?
It's got to be... Okay. Darth Maul gets killed in Rebels.
Yes.
So we have a definitive point where he ends up dead, and this is before that. So if Rebels is like 4 or 5 years before New Hope, this has to be before that.
Yeah.
And, how old is Han supposed to be in A New Hope? 30? 35? He's got to be older than the kids, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, if Han's like 20, this has to be like 15 years before A New Hope, so it's got to be like 4 years after Revenge of the Sith. So it's gotta. So it's that means it's like 10 years before Rebels.
Oh God!
So Darth Maul's got 10 years to run around and run this crime syndicate into the ground. Because the last time you see Darth Maul is in the last season of Clone Wars, and the Emperor spanks him. The Emperor kills his brother and spanks him, and Maul's afraid that the Emperor's going to kill him. He's like, "No, I'm not going to kill you. I got a better use for you." So I think he makes him run that crime syndicate to fuck up shit in the galaxy, to make it look like there's all this strife and
Well, you guys haven't seen Rebels, so I'm not going to spoil anything for you.
I know how he dies and all that stuff in Rebels.
But, his involvement in Rebels, it's not implied that he's running a crime syndicate thing. So there's got to be a point
where he gets kicked out.
Gets kicked out or something happens.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, maybe he does it and he runs it into the ground, and then after that he runs around and does some stuff. But yeah, so yeah, that's one thing. But I mean, a lot of people who never saw Clone Wars or or Rebels, when they saw Solo, they're like, "What the hell?
Yeah.
That guy's dead."
Yeah.
Well,
No, he's not.
we were talking about when Solo should take place within relation to Rogue One and whatever, or how old Han Solo was supposed to be. And here it says Solo is supposed to end exactly 10 years to the first film in the saga. So that means it's definitely got to take place before Rogue One.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And that would be, 9 years after Revenge of the Sith?
roughly, yeah. Because, well...
Yeah, because 19 years between Revenge of the Sith and... What did he write down?
New Hope.
Yeah, A New Hope. So 10 years before A New Hope, 9 years after Revenge of the Sith.
Okay.
So that means
Now-
that Han... Because he's, in his 30s when Luke and Leia are in their,
Right.
early 20s, late teens.
Well, Luke is supposed to be about 18 or 19. Or maybe even between 16 and 19 in A New Hope.
And see, this is all, this is more timeline stuff. Leia is in Rebels, and she, they of course don't tell you how old she is, but it's kind of implied that she's in her early teens or something like that.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
but she's supposed to be 19 in A New Hope.
Right.
So, okay. But Rebels is
Yeah.
supposed to be 5 years before that, right? So she'd be 14?
Yeah. So that makes sense. God, I'm just trying to put so many story arcs in a timeline.
Yeah.
Too many timelines.
Yeah.
Well, it's just too many holes, too many gaps, too much ambiguity there.
There's got to be
we need a star date.
there's got to be somebody's job, when they're writing all these scripts to be well, this can't happen here. It's got to happen here.
There's got to be somebody at Lucasfilm whose title is Director of Continuity.
Yeah.
And they just have timelines all over plastered all over the walls of their office or something because it's a mess.
Time to buy a new bulletin board again.
Looks like a detective's murder.
Yeah,
wall.
all these
web.
red strings and shit. Okay, so the whole point of this is because we're going to do an episodic podcast about The Mandalorian. Now, did you see that the schedule came out?
No, I have not.
It's weird. It's not like a every Friday kind of thing. The first episode comes out, and then the second episode comes out 3 days later.
Okay.
And then it's 7 days before you get another one. And I think it has a little bit of continuity, but then the last episode is 9 days, or it's going to be weird.
This is weird.
Yeah, it's going to be weird. So
Yeah, 3 days between episode 1 and
and two.
episode 2,
Right.
and then 7 days between 2 and 3, another 7 between 3 and 4.
So,
It looks like it's weird because episode 1 and 2 are 3 days apart. Then it goes a week for a while.
and then there's one that's 9 days. I don't know if it's the last episode.
It is the last one. And then between 6 and 7, there's 5 days.
Yeah, so it's super weird, man.
Yeah.
But
so for the first 2 episodes, should we do a combo of 1 and 2 for the podcast? Or
Well, do you think episode 1 would be longer than the rest of them because it's the pilot?
well, I don't know if this has a defined runtime or anything.
let me see here.
I'm gonna go ahead and try to see. I want to do a prequel kind of pre-game podcast about the Mandalorian. So I don't know that we need to get into everything now, but
Somebody commented and said the gap at the end is for the opening of Rise of Skywalker,
Oh.
which would make sense.
oh, they're gonna show it. Oh, okay.
Leaving
okay,
enough
okay.
gap to where people can go see the Rise of Skywalker
Right.
and
And
not be
then-
distracted.
Then come back and watch The Mandalorian.
Okay, so runtime is listed as 60 minutes.
Hmm.
So I don't know if that's going to be every episode for sure, or if that's just kind of a goal. Oh, it's Ari Raw codex. How about that? Anamorphic lenses. All right.
But are we just going to keep the episodes separate, or should we do 1, 2 in the first episode? Because
Well,
since they're so close together.
this has such a weird schedule. Where's the back button on this thing? How do I go back? I mean, I'm here.
It's hidden.
Is it?
It's an.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, Google updated itself and said, "Hey, if you want the back button, you got to go hunting for it."
I think we're gonna have to play this by ear, because I'm usually I don't have any like overnight trips that I have to do, but I do have days where my entire day is gonna be full of shit, and I'm not gonna be able to do much.
Yeah.
If I've got one of those days, and you're gonna be on the road, out of town, so doing this
still gonna be in school.
Doing this sometimes might be a little. It's not like the episode will come out and then the next day we do the podcast.
We won't have like a regular set schedule.
We're gonna have to try to do it when we can, and the fact that this has a goofy release schedule kind of compounds that uncertainty.
I'm gonna just kind of eyeball and see if my schedule is out.
Oh, nice.
That far.
So the first episode's the 12th of November, and then the next episode's the 15th. So the 12th...
Oh, I should be off on the 12th because
the 12th is a Tuesday?
Yeah.
The first episode comes out on a Tuesday?
On a Tuesday.
And then you get one on a Friday. So what does your schedule on the 13th and 14th look like?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't have my schedule out that far, but I can see our show calendar to see if we have anything on the books that day.
Okay.
And that just kind of is like the odds of me being out of town based on how many shows we have going on.
Right.
It looks like for the 13th and 14th, we only have one show going on, but there is a show that is on the 15th, which means we'd probably be traveling.
Right? So we probably would want to try to do an episode 1 thing.
Like on the 13th.
If you're going to be... Because episode 2 is going to come out on the 15th, and if you're gone like that for that weekend, we wouldn't be able to do anything till like the 18th. Like Monday.
Yeah. Well, then maybe if we
got a night class on Monday. So.
If we did that, then like Nate was saying, maybe we could just do one big podcast for like the first 2 episodes.
Yeah, but do we want to go? I mean, the first episode comes out on the 12th. Do we want to wait until a week later before we even do one?
I mean, it wouldn't be ideal.
I'd want to try to get one in there beforehand, and then before it comes out, I'd like to do like a prequel kind of or a pregame kind of expectation podcast where we talk about what we know about the show and what we think might happen and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we need to do that sometime. I mean, we have plenty of time. We got a couple weeks, but I'd like to get that in and out.
So I will probably oh God, I don't even know. They haven't told me yet, but at the end of October, going into the 1st of November, I'm in Miami. And then 3 days after that, I'm in Orlando. So I don't know if they're going to like fly me home for 24 hours and then fly me back out or just have me
dump me in a hotel.
Yeah, dump me in a hotel for a day in Orlando. I don't know. Nothing gets communicated.
You could go to Star Wars Land.
Oh, I could.
You could spend a day down there as our correspondent.
Oh, you could spend 4 hours down there.
Yeah, 4 hours. That's all you get.
Yeah.
The stormtroopers will kick you out.
I don't know. Is that 4 hour thing still in effect? I was thinking that the crowds were down. Like business wasn't as good.
Well, the last article I read was Star Wars Land is underperforming. And just recently, they did something that really pissed off like the super diehard fans. So at one of the restaurants, they had like Star Wars themed dishes that were like real food, but they were named differently.
Okay.
And they were supposed to make you feel more immersed in the world.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people got lazy and wouldn't read the food description. So when they ordered something, it wasn't what they wanted.
Okay.
So Star Wars Land is like, okay, just change them back to what they are here in our universe. And a bunch of fans were like mega pissed.
I wanted a bantha steak, not this ribeye.
Yeah, it was like a Batuin tenders or a Batuin rat, or it was like chicken or something.
Pork tenders.
Or something like that. Yeah, it was like, they had a bunch of different names, and it was like, oh, cool, I'm actually in this world.
Yeah, but...
And I'm not in Orlando, Florida.
That's damned if you do, damned if you don't. You know, they gave them goofy names, and people were like, oh, what the hell, this is just chicken fingers. And then they changed it to chicken fingers, and people were like, well, I want to pretend I'm eating a pork, so call it a pork tender. You know, it's...
Yeah, it's very split.
Can't make everybody happy.
It's very split.
So it's like, what's the easiest for us? Fuck it. We'll just do it that way.
Well, one thing that would really help them perform better is dropping the prices on building lightsabers and droids.
Dude.
Well, you know what? They had so many like insiders and influencers and journalists that got to go, and every person I saw write about it complained about how much shit costs.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that must have just scared a lot of people away.
And you're not even allowed to wear a Jedi cloak in the park. You could wear the tunic and all that.
Right, because you look like a cast member, because they have people walking around that are suped to be like actual characters.
Yeah, but if you buy a cloak, you better wait till the end. Otherwise, you're going to be carrying that thing in a big black garment bag.
You probably have to get it when you can get it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't go by the cloak store and go, oh, I'll come back later, and then the stormtroopers throw you out, and you're like, I ain't gonna buy my clothes.
But God, that thing has to probably be expensive as hell.
Everything there's expensive.
The cloak is about $400.
Now see,
last I checked.
See, it's understandable because they have people in costumes and they don't want you to dress up like a person in the costume. But he's really only complaining about that because at Harry Potter World, you can go and buy a robe and a wand and run around, and they want you to. They sell you these wands that have like sensors in them, and you can go up to the shop windows and wave your wand, and it makes shit happen, and it's completely immersive. But you know.
That's the funny thing, though. You could get replica wands like Noble Collection. You could get those at the park for the same price you could get them on Noble Collection. But if you get the sensor one, it's only like $15 more. Now, I could pay $45 for a wand. Yeah, that's cool. Why not make a lightsaber like $60?
Oh, because, man, it's so much more. A wand is a piece of wood. Or resin, really. And then these we stick a sensor in. Big deal. Lightsaber, man, there's a lot to that. And it's probably not some piece of shit that takes a D-cell. It's probably got some special battery, and you got to charge it with a USB cord and all this shit. It's probably pretty fancy. I mean, I haven't looked into them in depth, but it's probably way more involved than a damn wand.
But that's still ridiculous. It's like they give you a tub of plastic parts.
But how many people have paid it? Gladly paid it. So they can make that, so they're gonna. You know, it's not like nobody bought one.
Yeah.
We better drop the price. It's like, nope, we've sold out all the time. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Sure, there's going to be people who can't afford it, but so what?
Yeah, and that's what's scaring most of your customers away, is the price of everything.
Well, I don't know if it's like most customers, but I mean, sure, they say attendance is down. Well, I think it's just because some of the reviews have said, this is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
One thing I think is hilarious, in Disneyland, the one in California, they're opening a full Star Wars themed hotel.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And it's like
From the time you check in, you're in Star Wars world.
Right.
Yeah.
But like one night, in an article I read, is like $300.
Oh, that's not bad. I've stayed in a $300 hotel.
I've stayed in a $300 hotel.
That's
yeah,
not
but
bad.
Yours is probably expensed.
Oh, yeah, I don't pay for
Yeah, mine
anything.
was expensive. No, but I mean, the idea of a $300 a night hotel, that's no big deal. I mean, if you were going to tell me it was like $1,200 a night per person, well, yeah, that's a bit extravagant, but I mean,
I want to bring up
$300 a night, that ain't shit.
I want to bring up an article
Okay,
and see if they've updated that.
Well, I mean, $300 does not seem ridiculous to me.
Oh.
It seems low.
Okay.
What?
It's only a 2-night adventure. It's not like you could spend a week there and then go over to Star Wars land.
Right.
I thought it was going to be like, yeah, you could stay in a Star Wars hotel. But now if I'm bringing up the article, if it'll actually load on time.
This is your captain speaking.
I was about to do that, but... Oh, you actually have to go in and...
Do you know who Chris D'Elia is?
Yeah.
The comedian?
Yeah.
Have you seen his radio announcer thing?
I don't know. I mean, I saw all the stand-up stuff that was out of him a few years ago, and I don't know if he's done stuff since then, but...
He's got a podcast.
Oh, does he?
Oh, yeah. And one
God.
episode of this podcast, he does a radio announcer impersonation. Is the funniest
What's
thing.
his podcast called?
Congratulations.
Oh, I gotta,
with
I gotta,
Chris D'Elia.
I gotta start downloading that.
Oh yeah, it's pretty funny. But yeah, he does the I just thought of this because you did the voice, but he does this thing where he's like, you know how radio announcers like over pronounce their W's, like www.com. WKKK.
Coming to you from whatever the capital of Mississippi is.
Yeah.
Is it Canton? No, Canton's not the capital. What's the capital of Mississippi?
www.
Oh, damn. Nate looks flabbergasted. How much is it, Nate?
$1,000.
Somebody give me a drum roll, please. A two-night, 3-day stay is starting at $3,300.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's more believable.
Yeah.
Per person.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
And a cabin with 5 passengers would run $7,200.
A day?
Yeah.
But is that...
Jesus.
God.
Now we're talking about going to Monaco for the fucking Formula One race.
Right?
Jesus.
That's like somebody's like life savings, like, you know. Like
This is like if you're on your deathbed and you got
a Make-A-Wish.
Yeah, and you got the Make-A-Wish Foundation
well,
on your
okay.
side. I'm going to go to the Star Wars hotel, bitches.
How many billionaires are there in the world? I think they've all already gone, and that's why attendance is down. They've all been. Jesus.
But yeah, that is ridiculous. This is not confirmed by Disney, but it is according to a Disney news and rumor site. And those sites are usually pretty accurate.
Yeah, insiders who work for the company who are like, they're going to charge what? Yeah, they've already leaked that information because they're like, this is crazy.
I would love to see like an employee discount. It's like, yeah, you get 10% off.
5% off. What was what was the discount? Did they ever say what the discount was in Westworld, where it's like it's $25,000 a day or something? But did you use your employee discount? Shit, I still can't afford to go here. What are you talking about?
But yeah, that's ridiculous. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Star Wars, but they're just making it a big cash cow
I don't
now.
love it that much.
Yeah, they're just making it a big cash cow.
I'm
Theme park
trying.
tickets. Oh.
I'm trying to look and see how much it is.
Well, it's
just
an
like,
extra. It's like a separate thing. It's not like you buy a ticket to Disneyland and then you get in and you just wander over to the Star Wars park.
Right.
I think it's separate.
That's why I'm trying to.
Okay, basic adult tickets for Star Wars Land start at $129.
Oh, that's not bad.
How much is a kid's
The
ticket?
kids' ticket costs $122.
Oh my God, $7 off.
Fuck off, Disney.
Jesus Christ, man.
Let's
That's
see.
so stupid.
Oh, so do you have to like pay to get in the park and then pay to get into the Star Wars?
yeah, it's
one?
a separate
Yeah.
fee.
Jesus, it's $109 to get into the park, and then it's $129 to get into the Star Wars park. So you're already
Yeah.
like
And
what?
here's the funny
200
thing, man.
Yeah.
They at a lot of theme parks they count like 3 to 12 as a kid. They're counting this 3 to 9.
So a 10-year-old is an adult ticket?
It is.
That's $7 extra dollars.
Yeah, that's the
But it's like
the general park ticket is ages 10 plus for adults.
That's,
I mean, I would love to go to this place, just be immersed and look at the
well,
sets and stuff.
Who gives a shit
But-
what a child or adult is? It's all over $120.
But this is like
Doesn't make a
definitely
difference.
this is like a graduation trip type thing if we were to do it.
Yeah, I mean,
Because just for the two of us, it's almost $400.
I must just be a poor person because shit like that is ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And how can there be that many people out there who think that's just a drop in a hat, no big deal?
Yeah.
I mean, God bless. So if
Man.
you had a family of 4, let's say you got a 10-year-old and an 11-year-old, and so that's $436 to get in the park, and then
That's just for the kid.
no. That's just to get into Disneyland.
Oh, okay.
Then it's what $520 something to get into Star Wars Land. So you're spending, $800 and something right there
Just to get in.
just to get in, and then you're gonna eat some weird pork tenders, and that's gonna be $30 a person, and you got to get some blue milk and
Or green milk.
then the kids are gonna want those little droid toys, and you're gonna want
They want a lightsaber.
it would be over $1,000 for a family of 4 to just go in there and spend get a minimum amount of fun. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and you're only allowed in there for like 4 hours.
That's what I'm saying. Like 4 hours of experience.
You're gonna spend
At least $1,000.
You're gonna spend half that time waiting in lines.
I don't know.
Just to get on the ride.
Well, I don't know because they control how many people go in and out, so it doesn't get super crowded.
But you're still going to spend half that time trying to get on one of like the 3 rides.
You would definitely want to watch a tutorial or something where somebody said, okay, look, when you get there, hit this first because you can do the other things and they don't have a big line, but you make sure you get this done first or you're not going to be able to do it. You know,
Yeah.
you would want to have a game plan. I mean, you don't have to do it like full military reconnaissance fashion, but you definitely be like, all right, we're in. Let's go over to the thingy. Okay,
But that definitely takes a lot of the fun out of it.
Well, sure it does. You can't just like wander around and have fun and feel immersed. You gotta.
Like when you and I went to the Harry Potter park, we were just able to dick around.
Yeah, this is cool, but come on, we gotta get over here. We're going.
Yeah.
The lightsaber line is getting way too long, guys. We gotta go.
One parent is definitely gonna have to be like, look, I'm not gonna enjoy this at all. I'm gonna be watching my watch and I'm gonna take notes and we're gonna
Yeah, you need a Star Trek fan to go with you.
Yeah. This is stupid. Come on, let's hustle it along, people. Yeah.
And then by the end, they love it.
Yeah.
There's a short film right there. A Star Trek fan goes to Star Wars land.
Yeah.
That's like what?
I don't look it.
But it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, man. I think they need to scale that back a little bit and make it a little more realistic.
Hollywood Studio. I'm trying to. Did you just Google Galaxy Edge ticket price?
I did, yeah.
Okay, I'm trying to find it on their website and I cannot find it.
But now I'm just gonna type in Disneyland ticket prices.
It's the Disney's Hollywood Studios.
Okay.
Is what is the section of the park.
Okay.
So a 1 day, 1 park ticket, ages 10 and up.
I think Andrew would just went over that.
Yeah. It's so weird.
Anyway, so that's Rogue One.
Sorry to go off on a tangent.
That's what we thought about it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know that I need to do a ton of editing to this, so I may just stick it up.
Yeah.
As sort of a taster.
That'd be cool.
I haven't made a SoundCloud account yet, so
Was that what you're gonna use?
Well,
iTunes,
I was gonna. No, not iTunes.
Oh.
Not yet. I was gonna put this just up on YouTube.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Because you can put anything you want there, free,
Yeah.
and anybody could find it. I'll do some hashtags and stuff, but I do want to make a SoundCloud because that shit's free.
Yeah.
And I'll throw this up there, and if we start doing the episodic stuff, I mean, I've got an email for the podcast. I've got all this kind of stuff. So once we get that rolling, if anybody listens to it, wants to say anything, we could start. Maybe get some sort of dialogue going or have a few people listen to it. But I'm not going to put it on iTunes and pay listing fees until unless it's like worth it.
Do you have to pay for it to be on Spotify too?
I don't know. I know SoundCloud is free, but I'll look into Spotify too. Anything that's free, I might as well put it up.
Why not?
Just put it there.
Do you want to state our Twitter and email for this?
Well, I would if I had it in front of me.
Hold on.
Okay, so the podcast is going to be called Once Upon a Time in the New Republic when we're talking about the Mandalorian. But that's too big. So all of the accounts
RC Pit Crew.
Right. So on Twitter, it's definitely RC Pit Crew for Razor Crest Pit Crew. And then the Gmail. Well, do you remember what the Gmail is?
I could look it up in my text message.
But that should be RC Pit Crew as well.
It's something like that, but I just wanted to get it right. I don't really have it on me. I don't have it on either of my phones. I had it on the computer, but it was in an incognito window because I was logged in on my other Gmail account.
RazorCrestPitCrew@gmail.com.
Okay, RazorCrestPitCrew@gmail.com. So, I'm just going to do this the most basic way at first and see if anything comes of it. I mean, we're kind of doing it for fun, but if on the off chance somebody listens to it and wants to say, you guys are kind of full of shit, then they'll be able to send an email and we can talk about it and call them out and stuff like that. But
this is all opinions.
Well, yeah. I mean, we're usually right, but it is just an opinion. So anyway, that was sort of our test run. Talking about Rogue One, so maybe I'll have some music or something better next time. But we'll have to decide. I'm cool with giving first names in this, but we don't need to go into personal details or anything like that. So, yeah, that's about it. I'm gonna push stop now. Anybody want to say anything?
Should we introduce ourselves because we didn't even do that?
I did. I've been calling him Andrew. I've been calling you Nate.
Okay,
it's fine.
Our individual Twitter handles.
We'll have to have.
I don't use Twitter.
Yeah.
Man.
When we do the actual episodic thing, we'll have to plan that out and be like, okay, so if at the end we want to say our Twitters, or we could just go through the podcast's Twitter if anybody wants to say anything. It's fine. We don't have to pull personal stuff into this. We still want to stay regular people with no harassment or anything. So, because like you said, it is opinions. So people are going to disagree with us.
Yeah.
And hey, this Mandalorian show might be great, and we may talk about it, and it may be thrilling and awesome, and we're nothing but stoked, and everybody else wants to write to us and tell us how stoked they are.
Yeah.
But then again, it could be a train wreck, and we could just complain about it, and everybody else could write it and complain about it, or, So we don't know. Nobody knows anything.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting, man. It'll be super interesting, and I'm kind of anxious to... anxious to see what happens. So, but we won't elaborate too much because I want to do a separate podcast about that. So anyway, I guess we'll sign off now. Hopefully this was a successful experiment.
Nice.
Bye.
Bye.
Yep.